Welcome back, everybody. We've got your top 8 set up and ready to go. The game we're looking at right now is Grant Strom on New versus Tyler Horsepool on Dash.io.
Yeah, this is going to be...
Just get right into it. It's going to be what?
It's going to be quite a interesting matchup because we were looking over the list just now, and Grant is actually packing 2 Erase Face, which is quite relevant against Mechanologist. Turns off Spark of Genius, turns off Boost. That's pretty impactful. I think it affects... No, it doesn't affect Boom Grenade. Boom Grenade just cares about damage. But we will get the players ready, and we will get into it.
There you go.
Okay. And Tyler is, of course, sporting his AGE honor tradition of a funny costume.
Yep, construction worker Tyler coming in, building up what he needs for victory.
Actually, I remember there's one mech card. It's probably not his intention, but there is one mech card called Rotary Ram that has construction workers on it.
Yeah, I think a mechanologist wearing the high-vis vest with the hard hat is quite appropriate.
Players just getting set up here. I think Tyler will probably go first, given he's higher seeding, and it's just the better thing to do as Dash.io.
No items in hand, not what he wants to see. With a twin drive, also not what he wants to see yet. Would love to see that closer to the middle of the game when he's got counters on that pistol.
But asking for equipment turn 1 with T-Bone.
Don't hate that. Just get rid of some block early. He does have 2 T-Bones, so he'll be able to get the counters off of both the glove piece and the boot piece here from Grant.
Yeah, so that's nearly kind of what you want, considering that he doesn't have any items to give and set up on turn 1.
Yeah. Like how Grant flipped his arm piece over. Like, wait, hold on. You can't see this.
Well, giving it some more thought. Probably...
Yeah, it was the alluring wave after all.
What in hand he will give. Okay. I'll design mind.
Yep, second T-Bone.
Well, at least because this one is blue, he can give the equipment and no card.
He would love a third T-Bone right now. Just getting the Fiendals or the mask right away would just be so crippling. Alas, does not have it.
Grant has a bit of an awkward hand in that he's holding a Chi here. He's actually using it to filter a card.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, just, you know, sculpt in the hand. That's what you do turn 0.
He held on to his defense reaction, despite being the tempo player here.
Yeah, maybe just throw it in the arsenal, prevent any tricky boom grenade hits with the 5-card hand that Tyler is likely to present.
True. I guess it's more to what he's expecting out of the matchup, given that he faced Alan in Swiss. So he needs defense reactions to soak up the break points that grenades threaten all game. Coming in with Spider's Bite for 1.
Tyler taking it. Attack actions will now block for 1 less.
Good old Command and Conquer.
Ooh. Tyler does have the Crown of Providence. Oh, and Tyler giving a graceful allowance of getting that tunic counter up, despite having forgotten it.
Now that there is sportsmanship.
Yep. Very gracious.
Not everyone would allow the tunic at a competitive level event, especially our AGE Players Championship today. Tyler holding 1 grenade right now. I think it's Dissolving Shield as well.
Yeah.
Not the most fantastic hand. Maybe he'll use Crown to properly filter his arsenal. Unlock this hand a little bit more.
Now that that's gone, the future CNCs are going to be much more threatening.
He did draw something quite nice in the pulse wave right there.
Ah. Does he have the resources to support it? Yellow boom grenade.
I think he's got a blue in there.
Okay.
We can always take a peek if he doesn't.
Ah, the shoulder cam.
I can't quite tell through the glare.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here's a 0 to 60 blue.
Coming in with the throttle boosting. That's 6 damage, getting rid of that tech glow pounder off the top.
And that's one less item that weakest link cannot target.
Yeah.
That's the way to look at it.
Grant, just thinking about the blocks. Does he want to use the reaction now?
Actually, maybe we can get more of a better look at Grant's hand.
Interestingly, Tyler did not start the turn with the boom grenade that is in his hand.
Ooh, there is a weakest link in Grant's hand.
Mm.
So he's got some options on how tall or greedy he wants to be with his kept hand.
And he decides to just take it. Going down to 34.
I wonder if Tyler does actually play it patient and plays grenade at the end of the chain so that it's not needed for the crank.
Right.
And then it's sticking around for the next turn.
That makes sense, seeing that it probably won't get through here, so just hold on to it and get that value later.
Actually, shield is a really good item in this matchup specifically because you can use one counter at a time for dagger hits.
Yeah. And crucially, it's going to help cover up breakpoints, or rather, it's going to help cover up this weakest link and the dagger that would prevent him from blocking it.
Yeah.
Although if Tyler's lucky, he may not see items in his there's an item. And it's also
I think it's
his only
another
blue, so
pounder.
he needs to hold on to that.
I see a max V as well and a spark.
We just see a Bonds of Attraction
Yeah.
coming in.
This looks for the same color as the Banish card and the one you can take from Graveyard.
Yeah. So I think Grant, did he have a hiss in hand, or?
He's got a hiss, yeah. So I think he's going wider. He also threatens Mask because like he's not revealing any information. So.
Right. Makes a lot of sense.
It also makes more sense because it doesn't make sense to spend 2 resources to swing daggers when shield is on the board.
True. That's a good point.
So here it comes. There's that hiss. Brings it up to a 4 and gives him his action point back.
Yep. Tyler just taking it down to 37.
Yeah, because this
27.
most
Excuse me.
importantly, this stealth card only attacks the deck.
Yeah.
It doesn't attack the hand.
Which is relevant in this matchup. I mean, we've seen the Dash IO versus new go to the last card in the deck already today.
Yep. And here comes
Follows
weakest
up.
link at the end of the chain.
So Tyler looking at a max velocity that he can't get off this turn. Maybe be a prime blocking target along with some of his equipment and that dissolving shield.
Grant, unfortunately, because of the way this hand was played, doesn't threaten a rousing wave as a breakpoint, but arguably doesn't want to do it on this turn anyway because of the shield.
Yeah.
Just sending a 4-card 10, but arguably 3 more value in that he would draw a card and take a card away from Tyler.
Yeah.
Connects.
Yeah, the weakest
not so
link
bad.
is just such a powerful card into Mechanologist especially, so many non-blocks in the form of items.
It's actually something I like and appreciate in that it's in that 2-cost, 6-power, 3-block red majestic slot that's actually proving relevant in a format beyond its own printing.
Yeah, yeah. Not only the Mistveil heroes that have these non-blocks.
Like, I really love pummeling this card, personally.
Oh, I bet you do.
Tyler giving Teklo Foundry Heart here, and a 3-block.
Yep, opting instead to keep the maximum velocity, maybe looking to put it in his arsenal, knowing that he needs to be able to push damage.
He's probably also thinking he could spark in the middle of this combat chain, draw a card, hope to find another attack action card that he can send to threaten grenade again, maybe?
Block like that. Counter.
Just a possible thing with this hand.
Yeah. And blocks it cleanly using that dissolving shield. Not getting the full value out of it, but it did put a counter on the pistol already, so it's gotten its 3 value. Very appropriate for any card you play.
An awkward hand that Tyler has to work here.
Yeah, I think he decided to go for more of a setup here rather than pushing a ton of damage, as he just pitches away that Teklo Pounder to play the Pulse Wave Harpoon, boosting. Getting to look at 1 card in Grant's hand.
Siren's cool.
Good information, regardless.
No blocks. Here comes the defense reaction.
Clean block there.
Ooh, I see a Bonds of Agony in Grant's hand.
Ooh, does he have the reactions to support it?
Well, he already holds a Siren's Call and he's got his 2 equipment, so...
That's true. It is possibly online.
He's got a way to bring it up to something nasty. And here's that spark that we talked about.
What do you think he's going to find? It's got to have Crank, right? Because otherwise he just IPs himself off the draw.
I don't think it would be another grenade. I think another shield would be a good call.
I think so too. Yeah, I think the shield is most likely. Could also potentially be a
I was going to say
protocol. Yeah.
Protocol red to go get a 0 back from the graveyard.
Makes sense. He has played a 0 to 60 red, or have you seen that?
I think he did.
I don't remember it. Maybe. Okay. Just
Teklo
goes
core,
for the
eh?
Teklo core and takes the hit. Takes the extra card in hand off the draw without being able to play it. Unless he wants to pop boots here. That's a possibility.
That's true. He might just elect to use the floating resources to try and cast something off the top after the draw.
True. We'll see what he decides to do here. Boots are online. 2 cards in hand. One is a max V.
Beyond the rainbow of grenades and other items that you play in Dash.io, that's kind of the piloting skill here, is that there are so many variables from when you tutor and take other game actions, manipulating the top of your library, that there are a lot of opportunities to make different plays and lines.
Yeah. And here he goes and cracks those boots with 2 floating, and it looks like he top-decked a throttle blue. So another breakpoint, meaningful here. Gonna ask for 2 cards or a boom grenade going off, or a piece of equipment. I can't imagine Grant would want to part with one of those now, but...
I have to wonder if he even boosts here, because does he really want to shoot pistol, or does he want to rack up all of those hits?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it looks like the answer is no boost. So either he likes the top of his deck, or he doesn't want to waste any cards that he doesn't need to unnecessarily. Or like you said, he just wants to build that pistol up for the biggest high-octane turn that he can manage.
And the thing is, with this breakpoint, Grant already spent the 1 reaction I think he had in hand. I think he only holds 3 blocks and maybe like a chi.
Yeah, so he will have to give something up, which is not what he wants. You know, having that 4-card hand with the Bonds of Agony is ideal.
I mean, he may elect to just eat 7.
He might.
Only goes to 28 after that.
True, but that is, I think, his learnings from today, where you gotta watch out for that life total. You gotta watch out, because it comes down to the wire, and giving up free damage early on can come to bite you. But says, I want to take the tempo. I want to play my Bonds of Agony, and I'll take 7.
You have to wonder what other reactions beside the Siren's Call he has here.
Yeah.
Because the shield is out of counters, he can now actually use daggers to try and pull cards away from Tyler.
And there it is.
Or maybe he'll just go for the bonds. Tyler needs a refresher on this card's wording.
Yeah, and he does know about the Siren's Call. So...
Grant might have possibly sunk it.
True.
To keep more information hidden. Just little bits of information that you can keep to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Tyler sitting on some throttles.
Wow, there's a just a nick in that hand.
Ooh.
This could get really nasty really fast.
Yikes. Okay, so Grant just knows he wants to pop this Bonds of Agony for all it's worth.
And I think it'd be pretty devastating because there's
Did you
two
see-
copies of Throttle in Tyler's hand.
Yep. Potentially ripping his hand all the way to shreds.
Mm.
Tyler has to think very, very critically about how to block this out.
Mm. There is also an element of some of your blues going to banish to new because
Right.
despite the fact that you can't boost in new, or I don't recommend it, don't boost away
Don't-
your mystic attack
yeah.
reactions or whatever. You can still send blues if they're the best thing to do with your chi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tyler deep in the tank just doesn't want to block with anything, but kind of priced into it as we see him hovering 2 cards, thinking about what the possibilities that Grant Strom's remaining 3 could hold. Taking 7 is an indicator of something big to come, so Tyler should be very wary of what... Ooh,
I think I saw a Prognosis and the Siren's Call and that just an egg.
blocking 3. That certainly isn't enough to prevent this on hit, and with 2 throttles in hand, might as well have just blocked with them.
Yeah, that's sometimes the decision you have to make. Is it better to give these cards blocking?
Priority over to Grant
Here we
as
go.
he uses that Siren's Call.
Using Tunic, so he didn't have to pitch for it. Very
Tyler?
astutely, Tyler can put
Oh.
that blue to use, which does in fact free up a Throttle from hand and keep
Okay.
it away. And there are no blues to be found here, sir.
So that explains a little bit more about why Tyler decided to only block 3.
Mm.
Grant will still get through, but the ability to pitch 1 more away for that Dissolving Shield is quite nice on the side of Tyler.
Yeah, this might be a case where Grant doesn't commit to anything else, but he may just do the reaction on Rousing Wave.
Yep. So that is what, 2 reactions played so far?
This is 3 because popping it itself is a reaction in of itself, and then
Oh,
you
right,
get a Fang
of course.
Strike,
Thank you for the reminder.
which means that he gets to pocket his just a nick for another turn.
So the Bonds is currently coming in for 4 + 1 + 1 is... Oh, and then he just plays it. Going over the top.
So it comes in for 5 with the reactions he'd already presented, and then just a nick brings it up to a 10.
Okay. Tyler stopping 6 of the 10. And Grant ripping one of those cards out of his hand and deck. Throttle and Zipper hit, 2 pretty solid hits. We know that Tyler is running 6 of each in his list.
I mean,
3 blue Throttle, 3 red Throttle, as well as...
Yeah, I think given the information here with what Tyler's left to work with this hand, his Technocore is about to give him 2 resources.
Yeah.
It's pretty face up that you would give Throttle as your banish, because then even if you don't want to boost away, taking away your 2-card 6,
You know,
or pardon me, your 1-card 6.
yeah, in the moment, I completely agree with that. However, I will also say, knowing that there's a maximum velocity in Tyler Horsepool's arsenal, one of the clunkiest cards to play alongside that card is
Throttle.
Throttle. It's just too expensive. So Tyler's probably pretty happy to see this as well. Just thinking like, you know what, I like the 1 for 5 a lot more than the 2 for 6. So thank you, sir. Grant could have also looked through the graveyard and seen which one was more populated in the deck. I'm not sure if he did that or not. Lots of decision points to make there. Grant ultimately deciding the Throttle was more valuable to take.
I guess when it comes to cashing in more of the blues that you banish when you're piloting new, as the best blue that you can take from the
Another very
resource
good point.
base, after you hit with Mistblade, because you as the mech player can't afford to take
Yeah, there were no blue zipper hits in
Yeah.
Horse Pool's list, so getting those extra banished targets is also quite nice. So lots of like micro decisions going behind that choice. So Grant probably pretty happy, kind of thinking more about what benefits him rather than what hurts Tyler.
Yeah.
Both being very close.
Zipper hit for 4. We are boosting.
Getting rid of a blue. Pretty nice hit. Haven't seen him boost away any big power cards yet so far. The top of the deck cooperating for Tyler.
And that's another thing entirely, is that fundamentally, Mech has to boost, which is banishing cards straight from the top of the library to the banish zone. So any of those blues that go to just your boosts, New has access to anyway.
Yep.
These aren't your boosts, they're our boosts right now.
Grant just taking the 4 as Tyler goes ahead and shoots the pistol. 2 more. And we have achieved close to life parity once again. 22-23 as Grant takes his turn with a 4-card hand.
Here comes a misplay for 1. Ooh. Producer Justin just laid something very, very expensive and shiny that we do not know until the winner is crowned in the gold foil packet in front of us.
Technically, they don't have to open it right away either, but
No, they don't.
hopefully
But
they do, for our sake.
come on now. We got to have some fanfare.
We see Tyler using the last of his block to prevent this missed blade from hitting. Does not want to enable the blue cards to have go again, as we saw that Bonds of Agony in the hand flashed.
This isn't the strongest hand for Grant to send. At least it's good rate damage, and he got the last block out of Tyler's suite, but Tyler's free to just boost the 5-card hand. Like,
he would love to
he's
get
got
off
Teklo
Max
Core
V
too,
right now if he can afford it. Teklo Core plus Max V in the arsenal, 5-card hand. This is looking potentially great for Tyler, depending on his hand texture. As we see him go ahead and get those 2 resources.
Checks the top of the library. What can we do with it?
This could be a very pivotal turn for Tyler. Needs to make sure. Oh, and a backup protocol giving him an extra action point.
We might want to call Tyler Horspool the structural engineer, because he's going to try and bring the house down on Grant.
Yeah, actually decides not to crank it, so 0 to 60 red is fantastic. Getting rid of a heist, not so much, but you know, you got to dump some. It's the nature of mech. You can't keep every power card in your deck.
Still holding 3 cards in arsenal. There's a lot to come this turn.
If he can get 3 boost off, he is going to be very happy.
Grant says no blocks.
Wow, we are slugging it out.
And I guess there's no threat of a grenade on this chain, because he's already cast his item for the turn.
Breaking the chain.
Teklo Foundry Heart.
Yep. Okay. 2 resources now floating.
Tyler is completely pitchless. He hasn't put a single card into that pitch zone that he held in hand.
The one thing I'm not sure about is if he drew the blue that he needs to fuel the other boost cards.
I see, yeah.
So I haven't seen his hand, so
that he possibly has to send it instead of hoping for the red.
It's possible that he doesn't quite have what he needs to get the max V out, but if he can't get it out now...
Oh, he's got a high octane.
Yeah, I think he's looking for a blue on top
of
that. I think another max V.
Yeah, that's a second max V.
Really rough timing. Right as Grant gives him breathing room, he just doesn't quite have what he needs to piece it all together. Not the resources nor the boost cards. And you can see a little bit of disappointment on his face as he...
He's probably seen a red or a yellow on top of the library, which means he's not... Okay, here we go. Might be using backup protocol to buy back a boost.
Yeah, probably that 0 to 6.
He gives it some more thought.
He just wants a blue on top.
Yeah.
If he can get the blue, he can maybe finish this out. I bet he was pretty sad to see the red and then the blue. Would have loved to see 2 reds and then a blue instead.
Yeah.
So...
Gives it some more thought. Considering he's sat on that max V for a long time this game, it is a pretty key turn here.
Yep, and there it is. Going for the 0 to 60. Just praying for a blue.
Buy it back.
I have to imagine. Oh, and there's a yellow there. Maybe that just wasn't enough.
No.
Yeah.
There's a 3-block. Grant will be taking 1 off the blocks.
Yeah, he's 1 resource short.
Breaks up the chain again.
Or is he? Pitch, yeah. Yep, he's 1 resource short of getting that max V off. Unless this is... There it is.
Oh.
Got the blue. So we've got the Pulse Wave Harpoon.
Boosting a twin drive.
Getting an extra action point. A couple missteps. I'm not sure how much it'll matter, but didn't crank the backup protocol. Could just be saying I want to sort of save these pistol counters. But such a tight rope to be walking as the Dash IO, needing to be so efficient with all your cards.
I guess ideally when he put down the backup protocol, he was planning to save it for a future turn. Yeah.
Grant wanted to keep his whole hand, and now he's going to go to 1 to do it. If he makes that decision.
Okay. So producers have just told me that in our other matches in the quarters, we have Evan Bridges taking victory, and also Chris Iali, our first seed, continuing to be undefeated today.
I'm not sure how that block went. Grant sending a persuasive prognosis with 2 cards in hand. I have to imagine he took a big hit there.
I think he gave Tunic in his mask, so he's going to be low, but he's not dead.
Going to 4. And he just wants to keep up the disruptive pressure, does not want to give Tyler a big hand to work with.
A little bit of a smirk from Grant right there. This is unfortunate that he had to give Mask here, because this would be a great use of a Chi in that you banish a card along to Prognosis and your Justinic is backing it up.
I mean, he technically didn't have to give the Mask, so maybe just
I think it's double Justinic. He's also got that erase face for a following turn. I think it's just a really tall Prognosis he's about to unleash here on Tyler.
And you can see Tyler found 1 Justinic in the graveyard. Thinking about what happens if there are 2.
That 1 power thing just rockets up to a 9 Pummy. 11?
Yep. 5 plus 5 plus 1.
We can do maths.
11.
We can do maths.
Yeah. Losing that ability slowly but surely as our brains cook throughout the day.
And a 3-card 11 is a Zealous Belting into an Anathos Swing. Plus all of these upsides of banishes and life gain and attacking your opponent's hand.
Guardian's not good until we get the Guardian Mastery pack, okay? Just accept it.
No, I'm not going to go down without a fight.
Oh.
I'm probably bringing either a Victor or a New to a ProQuest, and no one can stop me.
Love that. One of them is not a Guardian, though.
Yeah, but I play New like a Guardian.
Fantastic.
Just as God intended.
Love it. All the 2-for-6s, all the pummels.
That's actually why I love the inclusion of Erase Face in Grant's list. I love that card.
Yeah, it's very, very strong. Especially in this meta with the inclusion of all the talent heroes.
Yeah. Absolutely critical against the Arya talent heroes, because both of them like playing cards that are within their talent.
Talented heroes and talented players here trying to figure out what the possible cards could be in Grant Strom's hand as Tyler thumbs through every graveyard, thinking about what the trees branch into, what the possibilities are of the future. And he says no blocks.
I think he's just forcing Grant to have it.
And he takes a big hit.
Double Justinic.
Not lethal, but he takes a big hit here. Going down once again to parity.
Ooh, there's a blue.
And Grant's going to heal from this.
Ooh.
And he gets his pick of the litter.
That's so unfortunate, though.
4 blues in hand.
He ordered it so that Justinic resolved first.
Oh.
So he only gets to pick a color that's shared with the Prognosis' banish.
I forgot about that part. So he's not going to get anything. Tyler probably like looking at his hand of blues, just like, what are you going to do? Hit a blue?
The
I
good
don't
thing
think so.
though is that Grant just gained 3 life.
Yep. That
So
is very good for him.
he just moved the goalposts on Tyler and now has perfect information
I wonder
on.
how many items Tyler has in his graveyard. That hyper scrapper is looking juicy if he has the items to fuel it. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. 4? Not enough. 5?
Kind of unfortunate that Tyler's cut of the deck is like fairly clumped in terms of resources.
Yeah, 4 blues is not what you want to see in this spot. After saying no blocks, there's not a whole lot of pressure that he can offer besides that hyper scrapper, which, you know, still isn't that much.
We have a very stoic looking first seed Chris Iali watching over Tyler. So here's 0 to 60 first.
Boosts away a yellow zipper hit.
Unfortunately,
Middle of the
boosting a
road.
better attack that Tyler wishes was on this combat chain.
Yeah, would have been nice.
Perhaps he can manipulate his blue backup protocol, but I don't know.
Yeah, that is a nice card to have here.
Because with the Hyper Scrapper in hand, that does give 1 more item into the graveyard.
Does Bonds of Agony hit graveyard deck in hand?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no shot of there being any throttle blues
No.
for him to go find.
Well, actually, the assassin player has the agency to go for any colors. You just
Right.
need to find 3 copies and banish them.
Oh, okay, so there may be one still in graveyard. I didn't see. He thumbs through that.
So, like, depending on the game's progression, you might go for the reds because they do the most damage, or you might go for the blues because you want to send them with, you know, hitting with Mistblade and then playing boost cards.
We can see Tyler activating the chess piece. Obviously not resource deficient, probably looking for an item, and he sees he banished 1, so he's hoping that maybe there's 1 more right here. 4 floating.
Gives us some more thought. How do we work this hand?
Probably protocol crank.
Maybe he's even forced to pop his Braces of Belief just to push more damage here.
Could be.
If he finds a red on top.
Does not want to give Grant the luxury of a 5-card hand.
No,
Nuke
absolutely
is
not.
way too tricky. You can't predict the way those reactions are going to fall, so you need to strip cards in order to have some sense of safety.
Yeah, and given that Tyler's out of armor completely, daggers are far more lethal when they're taking entire chunks of your remaining life total away.
There's the backup protocol, cranking. Using 2 resources to go find something. What's it going to be? Not a lot of good options in the blue slot.
No.
Is he going to send a blue to attack or pitch to have a semi-okay hyper scrapper?
Does he grab the same 0 to 6 that he just sent?
Could be. I mean, you technically net a resource and a counter on the pistol, so
Yep.
it's not for nothing. Plus, you get the extra item in the banish.
Okay, maybe
Or
he,
in the
yeah,
graveyard.
throttle here.
Just decides to go for the throttle.
And yeah, he's considering it.
This would be a good time to use that.
Braces of Belief.
Good
There
call
is a
here.
red. So he turns the blue into a red.
Yep. Coming in for 6. That is lethal, so Grant will have to give something here. And he's thinking about whether or not to boost, I believe.
Yeah. Because it's seeing another card, so
Yeah,
he can
he
try again
hasn't-
for an item.
Yeah, exactly. He hasn't seen an item yet, so that would be quite nice, man. Imagine if he could cheat a boom grenade out right now and just end the game. He would love that. So
Grant's still staring down at least 8 damage here with the
Yeah.
pistol follow-up.
yeah, very meaningful stuff.
So he still has to give a card.
And he's got the sink below, so
Mm.
no boom grenades.
Yeah,
here.
that's a smart idea, sending away the Sacred Art, because that doesn't block. Grant takes 2.
Oh,
back
that's
down
right.
to
It was
5.
+2, so a boom grenade would have been
Yep.
really great. Doesn't have it.
There's a pistol shot. It's really unfortunate because if anything else was red on this combat chain,
Yeah, he wanted more damage.
Tyler would be
No
threatening
doubt.
lethal here, yeah.
No doubt. Lucky that the you know, pervasive prognosis didn't pull any cards, but unlucky that they were all blue.
Yeah, I feel like even there would have been even less of a attack mounted by Tyler had Grant ordered it maybe differently with prognosis and Justinik and taken a card away from Tyler.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to, you can't know what order to put it in.
It's mainly preferred that you go with prognosis first, but it's still blind off the top.
Yeah.
Like you banish a red and your hand that you see from the opponent is like yellows and blues and you go, well, I can't do anything, and then your Justinik banishes a color that matches. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's just the luck of the draw.
Yep. And is Grant going to 1? Or is he staying at 3? In the tank thinking about that decision.
Yeah, he's got I think he's got another Chi in hand, so
Yeah.
holding E-Strike. There's at least one blue there. He can play this a little more greedy in that he takes the pistol shot. He could probably send the E-Strike first, keep info hidden, and then send his erase face from Arsenal.
Yeah. Yeah, race face being very critical to block. E-Strike being very critical to block too, since it is presenting lethal, potentially.
Yeah, so that's a Chi. There's a Leave No Witness as well, actually.
And he goes to 1. As Tyler arsenals that
Here we go.
hyper scrapper. There's a high octane item, and Grant just goes for the erase face, maybe deciding to utilize the boots here.
Yeah, that's true, actually. It's a very clean pop them, send something else in the Leave No Witness on this combat chain.
Tyler just forced into blocking. I don't think he can afford.
Or actually, if he wants to push the lethal damage, depending on Tyler's blocks, he can always give E-Strike for 7.
Yeah, it's a tough call either way. Tyler giving up that high octane. Would have loved to resolve that.
Here we go.
Great usage of the boots there by Grant. Really good window.
And I think it should be the Leave No Witnesses here, because it's still an annoying breakpoint that takes a card away from Tyler.
Makes sense. And he does not have the ability to block that out, so he's just going to have to...
And this would mean Tyler goes to 1, so daggers are lethal.
Oh, this is really... Okay, and he just goes in blocks. Loses his arsenal regardless.
Doesn't go to 1, though.
But doesn't go to 1. But now Grant has full tempo, and we know that E-Strike is an arsenal, which is an extender, so no matter what he draws, we're looking at least 5 go again into something else.
Yep.
As he pitches,
Interesting.
Great timing on the...
That's really quite good, actually.
Yep.
Tyler just holding on here. Gets to do a pistol shot for 2.
Yeah, keeping the arsenal, and that pistol can be so annoying at the end of the game because you can have a no card hand and just 2, 2, 2.
Yep.
There it is. Let's see how Grant responds to this.
And there's that prismatic ley line that we saw in Grant's list.
Yeah, that can be very meaningful if you're running blues, or rather if you're playing blues. We know he's running them.
The rest of the hand, not as fantastic, I don't think. I saw a sink below.
This might be the time
Prognosis,
to just go
there's
ahead
Codex.
and use the sink below to get it out of the hand. I mean, what's it doing otherwise? Going in the arsenal, I suppose, but the Codex won't allow that if you want to play it.
Actually, playing the ley line here, he might be able to construe 2 different breakpoints in the scene, pardon me, the E-Strike, and something that he chooses as a Codex target.
And it looks like Grant is at 1. I think maybe they failed to update the life totals from earlier.
I think that's probably
so
true.
this is swinging in for lethal. He must block. Question is, with which card?
I would think, considering that he wants to use Codex to punish and press the advantage, might be giving that sink below.
Could be.
Or perhaps tuck it to E-Strike.
That's another option.
Blocks with the Prognosis.
Preferring the sink below back in his deck. One item in
Here it
hand.
comes.
And he's choosing, I'm guessing, go again because of that Codex.
What's great about this play is that the Codex can bring back that Prognosis and make it a Leave No Witness because
That's
it
a
gets
good
+3.
point. Yeah.
So that Prismatic will give the full 0 for 4 if he chooses a blue.
Right.
And threatens another breakpoint.
Yeah, regardless, he's going to have a breakpoint, but Tyler still has a counter on that Dissolving Shield. So he can potentially just give one card here and then another to that breakpoint and prevent any on hits.
Very close game here. And I think it was all... Tyler was kept in this entirely by that shield just there.
Yeah. Really, really clutch timing on that. So he gives the 1 block, or the 3 block.
And that blue is safe from New taking it later because it's blocking a attack action card that is not stealth.
And there's the Codex. It just goes ahead and grabs that Pervasive Prognosis. No thought required. He planned that out years in advance.
Another thing to remember here is that because of Codex and Prognosis in tandem, a pistol shot can be taken because of Frailty, because it's only going to deal 1.
Right.
And Tyler has to give an action to block here.
Ooh, red 0 to 60 would have really preferred not to give that one up.
And that's good.
Priced into it.
Grant goes to a 2.
Yep.
Got to make sure that we're making the Codex tokens.
Yep.
Thank you, Grant. And he will ponder at the end. Depending what Grant gets here in Arsenal, he gets the option to fold the entire hand if he so wishes and just play a 1-card hand that still demands blocks out of Tyler.
Yeah.
There's another Codex in hand.
Ooh. Those cards are so efficient when you're blocking. 2 to 2. Very close game here.
No, our shoulder cam doesn't really get through Tyler. Trying to look at the texture of the hand he's working with.
Yep. The texture of that vest is what we were left with instead.
But it's still just that Hyper Scrapper in his arsenal.
Yeah.
Which is also
Under the
impacted by
effect.
Frailty. And it doesn't have Go Again because it's not a boost attack.
Boom Grenade.
Grenade cranked. A grenade not cranked.
Oh, that's not what you want to see. Grant now has a 5-card hand to work with. And I
Goodness.
saw at least one item coming off the top of the deck from Tyler.
So unfortunate.
Yeah. See disappointment on his face. Not what he wanted to see at that pivotal moment in the game. So we see Mistblade coming in. Is he going to give a card to this? Can he afford to? It does not look like
no,
it.
Tyler's taking it.
Now these blues with Go Again and +1 are just so brutal.
Grant actually holds the levels of Enlightenment, so he can send that for a different mode and not worry about the action point.
Yep. +1 and Go Again automatic from that Mistblade. The pairing of the Mistblade with the levels of Enlightenment is so powerful. And if he's able to pitch another card possibly to, I don't know, say Spider's Bite,
Yep.
that levels is going to have all modes active.
I mean, that's actually probably the correct play here if he has another blue in hand, is that it's threatening lethal to Tyler anyway, so it'll buy a card out of his hand.
Might as well. Depending on if he has the resources to do the rest of what he wants, but knowing that he has that Codex, I mean, he needs to get his arsenal cleared. Did we see what that was?
I had no idea. He sort
I'll
of
have to
like
ponder.
instantly put it into Arsenal
Sure.
without even thinking.
So if it's not an extender, it's probably stuck there, which is maybe why we see Grant hesitating. Could have a bit of a clunker.
I mean, even if it's a chi, you can play it out just to resolve the effect and then codex.
True.
Because your arsenal is clear at that
But
point.
if it's something without go again, like say an erase face or a
Yeah.
CNC, that's not going to cooperate with the codex.
No, he's like a sink below. He has his levels and codex. Okay, so he can't get any more modes on
Right.
levels.
No more blues in hand. Maybe it just plays it out and goes for the... Oh, no, he does have the blue.
It was a surgical.
Yep, so it goes for that play, demanding another card.
Giving a heist as a block. Here is levels.
Yeah, all modes active effectively. 6, go again, draw a card, and any more damage kills as
Here are my
Tyler
blocks, Mr.
has
Strom.
an item in hand.
Oof. And that's the
That's
end of
game.
it.
Well played from Grant. Bit of a rough couple hands at the end there from Tyler, but Grant navigating that beautifully, disrupting when needed, and not really scoffing in the face, or like rather, yeah, Grant took that one. So, yeah, not really too worried about the damage that Tyler was presenting. You can see quite a few cards left in the deck, so Grant's game plan was not, in fact, to fatigue, but rather just kill him the good old-fashioned way. Dagger to the throat.
Yeah, basically. Get those annoying breakpoints and pair it with daggers to make them even more annoying.
Yeah.
Just like assassin fundamentals, basically.
So congratulations to Grant for making it to the semifinals. And I believe we also know that, as you mentioned earlier, Evan and
Chris went
through. So we're still just waiting on the last game. I believe it was Colin Erickson versus Zachary Wallach.
So that might go longer because it's another illusionist matchup for
and I
Colin.
can see in the window that they are still chugging away. So we'll wait on that one to see what happens. But in the meantime, I think we can maybe get an interview in here. So we'll take a quick break as we get that interview set up. Don't go anywhere as we hear from our winner, Grant Strom.
welcome back to the Players' Championship here at the AGE tournament. I have Grant Strom, our quarterfinals winner on the feature match. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
We didn't get to feature you earlier in the game as the only new and only assassin in this little insular tournament, but we'll take a look at your player profile, man, because there's some things that we should probably talk about here. Like your answer for where's the best cheap burger? Is it somewhere in San Diego?
Yes, in Bankers Hill, there's a dive bar called the Balboa that has the best flat top grill burger
I see.
ever. And it's $8 for their happy hour.
Oh my god.
Yeah, perfect bun, lettuce, cheese, homemade aioli.
If it's happy hour, how cheap can I get a beer for?
$6?
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
So I can have a beer and a burger for under $15. I'm already sold.
Yeah. And a nice hazy, too. It's great. It's my after-school spot.
I see, I see. Tell me about how you found this year, like competing in AGE and coming to them all, and how you felt about like the different formats we went through this year.
Pretty good. I started playing in Bright Lights.
Yeah.
So right as I like understood the game, AGE started.
Yeah.
And it was fun to have a tournament series and stuff, especially like coming from Magic with like the pro play scene just coming back.
Yeah.
So it was nice to just get on in there. And yeah, I like the formats. I was sad to miss the draft one though.
Yeah.
I do like draft.
It was fun. I totally crashed out of that draft, but
I never draft because we don't do San Diego draft armories, but
I've heard a bit about that.
I qualified for nationals on draft, so that was fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Hopefully that game against Chris Ioli will go the same as this next one.
Yeah. That might be an uphill battle again because I think you beat an Enigma today.
No.
Okay.
I got walloped.
Okay, pardon me. Zach walled up on you. I remember spectating that game. It was relatively close, and probably you told me that Zach would think it was kind of a close game, but
He felt it was close.
there was a point that you reach where the game is lost, but you still have to play on into the Illusionist and try your best. But ultimately, they already turned the corner like turns ago.
Yeah, it was closer than it should have been. Seeing him at 11 life at the end of the game didn't make it feel close, but it was better than when he was at like 27 to my 10. So
it's better than being at 40 life with your opponent. Yeah, I'll tell you that. But tell me more about why you brought new to this tournament. You didn't like really feel that the new Rosetta heroes were much to bring forward, or could you not get the cards in time?
Cards. School just started.
That's totally fine.
I'm a one trick now.
But did you feel confident enough on new, considering that like you played her in like last format? Not much has changed. Well, I'd say not much has changed, but you lost to the best matchup in Zen, but she's still a really powerful assassin and arguably the best one to be playing still. How do you feel about it?
I mean, with Zen leaving, other aggro decks have been coming into the fray. So I beat 3 mechs today.
Yep.
Which it's just easy.
I would
two options: disrupt or fatigue.
I would also argue, considering that you're running a card that I've also run in new before in Erase Face, you got two copies, is really harmful against mech.
I know.
Especially,
I borrowed it from you.
I know.
They've been doing me good.
Especially how much have you played them all today?
A lot.
In every game?
Against mechs, yeah.
Because you can threaten it with a rousing wave as well, just like any other 2 for 6 when you have a blue floating. So they can be pretty punishing, especially against mech. Turns off boosting, turns off spark.
Yeah, I hit Alan with the arousing Erase Face earlier. So yeah, the card's great.
Good tech card.
Yeah.
Another tech card that we saw on this stream game just now is Prismatic Leyline. Explain that inclusion to me.
I love this card so much.
Okay.
It's a 0 for 4. This new list started as the one that Roger Brody took to nationals.
Oh, Roger took this.
Yeah. Well, it's different now. There was no red hisses or the venomous bite, and I think his theory was you only want to run attack reactions that you could play before Codex.
I see. Okay.
Except for Justinic, because it's too good.
Justinic is incredible, yeah.
But yeah, even like, I mean, I showed what the card did on
Yeah,
stream. Like
double Justinic on Prognosis, gain 3 life.
Oh, not even that. The prismatic ley line, I was
Yep.
able to play it, E-strike, and then Codex,
Yep.
send a blue for 4.
I think that's honestly a really good use case for it, is that you play it in advance of Codex, and you don't actually telegraph the Codex target, because you might even pick a yellow. Like if you're running, what's it called? Eradicate, that'll come in for a 6 if you play it off Codex. So you can keep this information hidden and basically keep your opponent guessing on what the prismatic ley line is going to push in terms of damage.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had a lot of plays where you hit with Mistblade, and then send prismatic ley line, one of the disruptive blues like Persuasive, and then Tunic CNC for 7, which
Yeah,
is
that's pretty nasty.
which is a drug.
Yeah, because the Prognosis will go up to a 5 with Go Again, and then you hit with CNC for 7.
Yeah,
That's going to ruin anyone's turn. It doesn't matter what it looks like.
nobody
Yeah.
has fun with that one, but yeah, no, it's nice. I decided with like Enigma and stuff to put in the red reacts. Hiss has been playing pretty well. The Venomous Bite would have been relevant on that last turn because I ended up top decking that off the levels, but yeah, overall they've been good.
Yeah. No, they definitely serve their purpose, and especially against Illusionists, sometimes you can send your levels and then like react on top of it because they affect Mystic attacks.
Yeah,
which
I
is helpful.
definitely hit a levels with a Hiss today,
Yeah.
choosing the other 2 modes.
Yeah, because you can choose the first mode of +2 to make it a 5, and then hiss it up to an 8 and give it Go Again, which is pretty helpful.
Great.
Beyond that, how are you feeling with this metagame? How's it shaping up? How do you like it?
I think it's shaping up pretty well. I'm happy to see Dio doing so well. I'm excited for the new Armory deck. Dio was like my first like main. I started off with Dash, but like quickly switched over to Dio after that one calling where he went 14-0.
It was in Australia.
Yeah.
Was it Tom Dowling was piloting that one?
I think so.
He first revealed Tome to the world.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I
Tome
do miss Tome.
no longer of this format, but you know.
Very excited for the new item that draws cards, and a lot of the equipment look cool. But yeah, the meta's shaping up pretty well. The Lightning Heroes, I was surprised to see none. I was really surprised to see no Auroras.
Yeah.
But
I guess in a similar way, like you couldn't get some of the new cards in time. Some of the other players, like Zach, couldn't get all the stuff together to play Acilio like he really wanted to. But that stipulation of, I have to play it with all my Marvels and foils, meant that he just relied on good old Enigma.
Yeah, I mean, Enigma's definitely way, way better than she was last format, but I think, and overrepresented today, but I think she'll be put in check. I think Azalea, I almost took Azalea today. I think she has pretty good game. Just that matchup was always good, and then you get to be the aggro deck that read in the ledgers, the other aggro deck.
That's very true. And like Murkmire Grapnel was a really good arrow to basically clear the whole board in one fell swoop if you can.
Dominating a Murkmire is disgusting. Also, I'm evil and I play Dreadbore because I think it's funny.
I was about to suggest, like, why not just play Dreadbore?
It's
and
great,
you don't need to draw a card. You need to say, you can't play reactions from hand. So every Fate and Sync and your Reinforced lines,
it forces them to arsenal it, and
line.
then you just get to play a Released Attention or a Remorseless and make them sit in the arsenal and I beat them another turn.
I remember it was sort of annoying when you last year played Oldhim in the same sort of way with a lot of reactions, and then Azalea started to pick up Dreadbore and New Horizons to assemble just giant arrows, and you can't even play your Staunch. You have to pitch it away or put it in Arsenal to Crown. But yeah.
As it should be.
I see how it is. Okay. Well, thank you for talking with us, Grant. I wish you best of luck on the semi-final. Oh, pardon me.
Oh.
We're being told by the producers, what does 80-0 mean, Grant?
I mean, refer to the February stream.
Dromai, undefeated, unmarked.
Ask Charles Dunn about it.
I'm sure he has fond memories of it, yeah.
I know. His double sigil.
Double sigil of solace, yeah.
Double sigil D-react and a red.
That's not winning you a game against Dromai. Anyways.
Or Tekla Vossen.
Oh no, Evan. Oh no. He's doing
Poor
fine. He's
Evan.
playing KO today. He'll be fine. But with that, thank you, man. Best of luck on the
Peace out.
semi-final, and we will
Thank ya.
return after a short break. Don't go anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for this, the semifinals of the AGE Players Championship. My name is Bryce Platts.
I'm Marcus Brown.
And we are here in the booth gearing up for what is going to be a crackling semifinal. Before we go there, we want a quick word from our sponsors. Collector Legion, which is the home store of Arcane Games and Events down in Lawndale, California. A very fine store indeed, and we're very happy to call it our home. Wouldn't you say, Marcus?
Very happy to have them host us time and time again.
And we would be remiss if we didn't mention Stidger Family Fudge, which is headed up by Chris Stidger, who is one of our local players at Odyssey Games, also just a super swell guy. And boy, howdy, does he make great fudge. He, in addition to the Chipotle catering, every single player here got a box of Stidger Family Fudge, and so we're in the flesh and blood and in the flesh and fudge.
I knew you were going to make the pun at some point after I suggested it earlier.
I have to admit, yeah, I stole it from you, Marcus, but it was too good to not leave on the airwaves. All right, Marcus, we've got a real scorcher of a matchup coming up. The boy wonder, Colin Pewter, I am so sad to report, has lost to his last Enigma opponent, which was Zachary Wallach, who we will be seeing on stream versus Evan Bridges, the villain himself, Dr. Whataburger, Mr. 040, and all the other monikers that belong to him.
Ruiner of fun?
Yeah, I'd call him that. Yeah, I did that too, though. But I did it more funly.
You had grace about it. Evan was always like, oh, good game. And I was like, Evan, you triple rain razored me into Codex. What are you talking about?
He's a little bit BM. In fact, I heard him against Zane earlier. He played like Blood Rush in the last turn of the game, discarded something. He's like, okay, this might token is for this turn. This one is for next turn. If there is a next turn. I was like, oh my God, Evan.
So much
chill
sass
out.
for someone winning right now.
Yeah, he's very sassy, especially when he's winning, especially when he's eating a Whataburger. Anyway, that's enough of that. I don't believe we've seen Zachary Wallach on stream, so let's go ahead and first of all, we have to go over our top 8 bracket because we forgot to at the beginning of this stream. Marcus, what do you see?
Okay, so from last round, as we saw, Grant made it through, beating Tyler Horsepull on Dash.io. Grant pulling through on Nu, the lone assassin in this field, now faces the first seed in Chris Iali on Enigma. And Zach here bested his teammate Colin Erickson on Kasai. Also another Enigma here, making it into the semifinals with a acclaimed villain from Pasadena, Evan Bridges on KO, Armed and Dangerous.
We've got 3 members of the AGE Pro team in our top 8 still at this point, which makes me personally very proud. But Grant Strom holding very strong, as it were. What a team does Grant represent? Does he represent a team, or is he a free agent?
He's on my team. He's on Team Humongous.
He is?
Yes, he is.
Amazing. How stoked are you to see him in the top 8 then?
It's pretty good considering that he fought through like 5 Enigmas in this field.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's what I'm saying.
Some of what people have been saying is that now that Nu is free to exchange some sideboard slots away from the Zen matchup, which is basically non-existent anymore, she's got some serious game into Enigma. What do you think, Marcus?
I think it's not a like totally dead matchup. It's more something along the lines of, let's say, it's a little harder. I would, rather be facing Enigma than Prism most of the time. Like, I can make use of all of the blues that they kind of use. Like, if they don't side out their levels of Enlightenment, I have to wonder what they're doing, because I can rip it off the top to, like, Mask and new activations as well. But it's still hard to get through Ward when you only have daggers. But Vambrace helps a lot, and there's other ways around them, catching them out on blocks, just a nick. Plenty of ways to get in there.
Indeed. Well, we've heard a lot about Evan Bridges' Whataburger, shall we say, not affiliation, attraction, unhealthy addiction, shall we say. Let's take a look at how Zachary Wallach answered our silly little questions. This is our 5th seed coming into the top of today. He's got 2 top 8s, including our MST Limited AGE Open, where he ran it down mid with Enigma, despite the fact that he had 2 Enigmas, one on either side of him in the same pod. Still performed admirably well, given that.
In addition to that, he's also directly taking a stab at Evan's affiliation with Whataburger, saying, in and out, easy clap. way better than Whataburger.
Whataburger enjoyers like Evan are in absolute shambles right now. And in shambles is where Zachary Wallach would like to put Evan on KO Armed and Dangerous. Let's take a look at just how Zach is going to do that and peek at the deck list, shall we, Marcus? What do you see? What do you like?
So one of the interesting things that Zach continues to be playing in his Enigma list is Mistcloak Gully, the Fabled of Mistvale, which is a very nice piece of tech into a bunch of matchups. I know it's very annoying for assassins, actually, because of that permanent -1. That can be the dagger. That can be the breakpoint on some attack somewhere. Especially with that all you got, a whole playset he's running, really hating out Illusionist and small attacks alike.
Yeah, in this matchup, I wonder if he's actually going to run it against KO. I know he typically sides it out against the faster decks, like he had a Dash.io matchup earlier on where it definitely came out. But it could be an interesting edge against KO, who's generally generating that extra point of value in the form of might tokens.
True.
Maybe Mistcloak can kind of negate that.
Yeah. I don't know if he would necessarily bring it in because it is a no block at the end of the day, and being at risk because you play so many no blocks in your chi and your auras that are instants, you might not want it clunking up hands that you need to block with. So maybe more defense reactions, actually, he opts for.
You know what I do notice, Marcus, and what will definitely be coming in this matchup? That's Hold the Line.
Oh,
Got 3 of in the blue slot. He's also sporting kind of a relic from ages past in Stonewall Gauntlet. I'm not exactly sure when that is going to come in or if he has even touched it in his sideboard all day.
I have to wonder if he might even entertain playing it in this matchup, actually, because an Uphold Tradition or something might not do as much good because that ward can be eaten up fairly easily. He can't really fight for his Mirror Guy that well because Evan goes so wide with KO.
And it looks like Zach is not sporting that new piece of Illusionist equipment from the expansion slot of Rosetta, the Calming Gesture. I don't even think it's in his sideboard. What he does have, however, is a Reality Refractor, which I wonder if he has employed today. I think that might have been because of that lone Riptide that was lurking around in Swiss.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, that would be very instrumental against Riptide because you're not turning on traps in that way, but he's just opted for Scroll.
Seems that Zach has not brought in the Balance of Justice to respect KO fully. There's a lot of speculation as to whether or not that card is still relevant in the current meta. Based on the KO representation we saw at Lyon, I think it's here to stay.
I was about to make the joke that people are flipping burgers with that thing in the slab. It's worthless now, apparently.
Well, if Evan can flip Whataburgers and create some might tokens, maybe he will just get there.
Do you know what I see in Zach's hand?
Talk to me.
That's a Mirror Guy, I believe.
Zach is the king of drawing Mirror Guy early and strongly. However, in this case, he hasn't found himself a Transcend card, so it might just be a vanilla Mirror Guy for 2 +1/+1 counters, coming in, of course, for 4.
Be. Pitching that Warmongers for it.
And it sure does look like, Marcus, that we're not going to see that Stonewall Gauntlet tech, even in this case, where it could be put to a bit of use. Looks like he's got a cloaked piece of equipment, which can only mean the Uphold Tradition that we know is in his equipment suite.
36.
He'll definitely save it for a key spot. Wouldn't use it here with that 1 floating. Doesn't make sense too. Evan is just about to throw his whole hand at Zach.
He is more than happy to take 4 here. Evan, I think, knows that he is going to handsomely and decidedly destroy this Mirror Guy and probably do a little bit of damage on top of it. Yellow Wild Ride is the first Brute attack coming Zach's way. It's going to be for 7 because of those 2 might tokens that he generated last turn by discarding the Mighty Windup.
Oh, kind of annoying that the weakest link went to the bin. I'm sure Evan would rather send that after his claw.
Which, judging by the texture of Zach's hand, it might not have actually been that effectual. I guess there is a Waxing Spectre in there.
Yeah, but he has the option to just play that out anyway. Zach letting Mirror Guy go, taking 5.
Yeah, Zach knows at the outset, after Evan took all that damage, didn't block at all, that Mirror Guy is not long for this world.
No, true.
3 go again as the follow-up in the form of Mandible Claw. Zach takes it. sees what else Evan has. With 2 floating,
Here's
it's gonna be
another
something.
weakest link. Lucky him.
So Zach can very easily just block this out with 2 cards. Probably just do a 2-card 4 go again with that Waxing Spectre in his hand. See if he can defend it next turn.
Honestly, not a bad retort. Like, Zach gets to keep a hand.
Did we see what hit the arsenal there, Marcus, on the side of Zach?
No, I did not.
Interesting. We also don't know what is in Evan Bridges' arsenal. It's curious because Zach's opening hand was a little bit lackluster in general, which is why we saw a, I don't know, shall we call it vanilla manifestations of Mirror Guy be resolved?
Tiny mirror guy.
A cute little Mirror Guy. A kitten Mirror Guy, shall we say.
Versus the roaring tiger that would be the one that comes in for 8 go again.
Thank you for writing that metaphor to victory with me, Marcus. That is always really endearing of you.
We play off each other. That's the dynamic here.
2 beards and a couple metaphors between us. Might token is going to pop for Evan Bridges here.
He's revealed it. It's an E-Strike.
A card that Evan has been very high on in these KO lists, but has finally dropped down to, I think, only 2 slots in his final list. Yeah, he normally kept the full playset of these E-Strikes for a long period of time, but now he's down to 2.
I have to wonder what it's taking up in his sideboard slots.
It's got to be just more cards that say Brute on them.
Maybe, yeah.
Honestly, I think the more generics you include, especially now that you are teched into the weakest link, Command and Conquer, of course.
I would think it's actually in his 3, like a full playset of Smashing Performance. He's expecting mech
quite possibly.
and Wizards.
And he was right about that.
Yeah. 4 mech in this field.
Zach Wallach deploying a Sink Below and a Hold the Line to the defense. Unfortunately, Evan has not drawn 2 cards, so Hold the Line is not going to get that extra bit of prevention. That's okay, because it's still a 2-card cover-up.
Honestly, Evan doesn't have a very fantastic hand, so it's just going to be 6 here.
Yikes.
6 into 6.
Yeah, that is a less than ideal KO Armed and Dangerous hand, that's for darn sure. Ideally, you have an agility token, and you're able to use that E-Strike to draw a card. Honestly, you're really happy to be discarding that Agile Windup. Anytime you are forced to play it, it's less than ideal.
And the great thing with this breathing room that Evan unconsciously gave to Zach is that Zach gets to Tunic swing Waxing Spectre and then pocket this Sink Below, I believe, into Arsenal.
Not bad at all. Anytime you get to use a Tunic counter for 4 value, that is okay in my book, Marcus. Evan using the first bit of his fridge. He's going to go ahead and block 4, generate a Might token. Maybe we have a very disruptive attack coming Zach's way.
Yeah, he might just want the break point here to be annoying. He has 4 cards to work with here.
Here comes Evan, breakpoint to be annoying Bridges. It's CNC for 7. We still have 2 cards in hand, but no action points to speak of. There's got to be another wind-up in his hand, I would imagine?
Yeah, I think it's Agile there, yeah.
Okay. So that's going to set Evan up very nice for the next turn. What does he got for the arsenal? He's got
a nice big elbow.
Yeah, a hairy forearm. Still can't quite make it out. Ideally, there's like a Blood Rush there, and he can set up a really nasty 5-card hand.
Yeah.
Zach finding his first Transcend cards. We've got Homage to Ancestors.
There's a weakest link in this hand.
No block.
Essence of Ancestry Mind. I didn't catch that last card, Marcus. Zach takes the hit.
He's going to lose the Sink. Unfortunate.
Before I move to end, I will discard Agile Windup to make an Agility and a Might.
That's probably the best case scenario for Evan here. Anytime you connect with a CNC and your opponent's got a D-React and Arsenal, it's a great day.
Yeah. Arguably one of the better cards to be running in combination with the Might tokens that you produce and action points in Agility is CNC at the end of the chain or something.
So here comes Levels of Enlightenment, a play that we've seen many times on stream already. We're going to hold priority, activate Enigma, Ledger of Ancestry, create a Spectral Shield, and get 2 modes active on that Levels of Enlightenment instead of the 1 we would get otherwise. Also, Zach is sporting a weakest link of his own in his hand, a card that is really good against KO, probably better even than it is against Enigma, because a lot of these times the no block cards, or the pearls as you would call them colloquially, in the Brute's hand can't be played out as an instant. So there's no dodging things by playing out a Waxing Spectre when that pearl in your hand is actually a pulping.
Yeah, and speaking of those pearls, Evan will want to be clutching them and not letting them be at risk of being discarded and drawing Zach another card.
So let's see. We do have a pearl in the hand. We have a yellow pulping.
Swing big.
Looks like we've got a lot of other block 3s. So Evan's
Runner,
probably going to be able to cover this up. But if he's forced to block, that does mean that he's not going to be able to make as good of use of that agility token. And that's really what you want to stop KO from doing time and time again.
Yeah, KO doesn't function nearly as well on those mid-range hands when they're the only thing he's doing for like a number of turns. He really wants the agility and the action points to push above what he can do on an average turn.
But boy, do brutes have a fridge, and Evan's going to employ it here to stuff this really problematic on-hit effect and probably still have a pretty solid turn.
Just thinking over which 6 he wants to give on this chain.
He really doesn't want to give the swing big. However, he has the opportunity to resolve the runner with go again and
I was
going to
say, yeah, he really doesn't want to give that one either because it's floating the agility into next turn. Even if it's conceivably the only attack he gets to swing with and then claw after.
Honestly, I kind of feel like the pulping is the worst card in his hand right here.
Yeah.
It's just a redundant source of go again and doesn't have the stats to make it particularly useful. He could be thinking that this could be his sash turn.
Ooh, there we go.
And there goes the swing big. So I don't know, because Zach has drawn a card, and unless he can play it out at instant speed, maybe that card draw off the weakest link isn't relevant. So there's a consideration to be made to just let it hit and let his pulping get discarded.
Here's the runner. Refund the agility.
Make an agility.
So despite losing a swing big, he's still coming in for 8.
I didn't see what he Arsenal, so he might make use of that.
I didn't either. Evan's been playing it close to the chest, keeping us in the dark, same as his opponent. But as Evan gets weaker, you're going to see Hermione Granger more and more. All of these equipment pieces are in Harry Potter sleeves, as is tradition for Evan Bridges. So,
What is that, your girlfriend, Evan?
he wishes. Are you kidding me? Out of his league. I'm just kidding. Evan Bridges is worth the attention of any A-list
The
actor.
shield will go the way of the dodo and explode. And here comes the claw.
Do dodos explode?
I don't think so. It was just the turn of phrase. It's late in the day, Bryce.
You might be going there, Marcus.
My eyes are beginning to hurt.
I really... Imagine that poor dodos.
That's a different kind of boom and grenade.
Zach Wallach starting it off with a Waxing Spectre. Bread and butter play for Enigma Ledger of Ancestry. 4 go again is the ask for Evan Bridges. We've got a card remaining in Zach's hand and a card that hit the arsenal off of the draw from Levels of Enlightenment that I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Considering that Zach kept a bit more of his hand, maybe it's one of those cards that he can send as a haymaker after the aura makes a swing.
Perhaps a Phantasmaclasm. I have to imagine a lot of those Phantasm attacks are coming out of this, or going into the sideboard and out of the main deck against KO, just because, boy, does he have a lot of poppers.
So actually, it's just the Restless Coalescence making a patient play here.
And patient Zach Wallach is. He is a fearsome opponent, always seems to be in control.
Okay.
Zach making a bit of a joke. That's Das Inner Beast, because Evan is sporting a German version of the card. Black border probably from that first history pack that hit Europe. Zach's going to go ahead and activate Restless Coalescence, remove a +1 counter, create a Spectral Shield, and that was a good draw off of that Levels of Enlightenment.
At least he gets to use this one. It doesn't get eaten by a Command and Conquer.
Yeah, definitely a better situation for him.
Not really the way that Evan wants to be utilizing these Beast Withins, actually.
No, and
sending one, pitching one.
We've got 3 no-go again. He's probably going to discard that Agile Windup in his hand, but there's no way he's going to be able to use that last remaining action point from the go again because he's got no resources floating. And that's when you feel good against a brute.
Exactly. Yeah, when their turn is lackluster.
Or when their options become very telegraphed and limited based on how many resources they have floating.
Yeah.
So Zach is going to look straight at that pitch zone and see what Evan could possibly be doing.
Agility might.
And it seems pretty face up for Zach Wallach, as it is for us in the booth. We're just going to discard an agile windup, Passaroni.
I would have said if it was the early versions of KO back in the heavy hitters meta, that card in Arsenal could have just been a cast bones with that action point, but Evan isn't playing them.
Evan has
Doesn't need 'em.
he has long since insisted that Cast Bones is a bad card. I believe he's described it as a win more card. And
Yeah.
even though the KO made a recent top 8 finals during the Zen meta was rocking those 3 Cast Bones, Evan scoffs at that in derision, eats a Whataburger, and keeps his deck list more or less the same.
I'm still a fan of that card because it is quite a...
It's just a lot of value, isn't it?
It's quite a way to take value into the next turn for one card.
Evan does have a point, though. It is a deck building drawback. Even when you're sporting just 3 Blood Rush Bellows and 1 or 2 Reckless Swings, you still often kind of hit those off of your pulpings, etc. And any time your deck is not doing the thing that it's supposed to, you're actively playing into your opponent's hand. So I don't know. I see it from his perspective. I also, especially when I play Brute, just kind of like to do the ridiculous and high rolly thing. So there it is.
Oh, Warmonger's here from Zach.
He's got a full grip and he's using his action point for a Warmonger's Diplomacy?
I don't think he had an attack really to send from him.
Okay.
But he will play these things out and pocket Mirror Guy.
Interesting. And he's going to IP1 himself, keeping the that all you got. He has found himself a Transcend card, however.
I guess because, yeah, he didn't have a way to swing a shield and make use of that card anyway. So his action point has to be Warmonger's.
It is really interesting here because so Warmonger's Diplomacy, while on its face, doesn't seem very good into KO, right? Because KO just likes to send attacks. However, you're at least preventing the possibility of getting blood rushed and your opponent having a really intense power turn. Evan made a very interesting decision here. He was holding on to that runner at the outset, decided not to, for sure, refresh that agility token, and instead went for the Bare Fangs. Perhaps worried about discarding the Bare Fangs further on down the line?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe it had something to do with the resources in his hand. Because he would like to be refreshing that Go Again as much as possible.
True.
So 9 Go Again is the ask for Zachary Wallach, who we have to assume also said War. We really don't know what his decision was for the Warmonger's Diplomacy.
Lining up some 3 blocks here with 2 Rage Spectres. And, here's Traverse.
That's very interesting because he's got at least 1 Chi card in his hand.
Yep.
He must not have another Transcend Enabler.
He has a Chi in hand, yeah. However, if he sequences it this way, he can play Mirror Guy and then Transcend with the other Chi by putting it on stack.
Right.
This also gives him options if he doesn't really want to use the Chi to wake Mirror Guy next turn. He can always pitch it to Pathways.
This is a sticky situation for Zach because he only has 3 block in his hand, and then he has but that 3 block is a defense reaction.
But now he gets to respond to damage here and play out Mirror Guy.
But that Mirror Guy is going to get eaten up, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, not quite, because you can respond to damage with Command and Conquer.
Ah, right.
So you still have
I
priority in the instant step.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, he'll Transcend here.
Yeah, that's an important thing for everybody at home. You have a chance to respond in the link step. So once damage has hit, then we resolve all of the on-hit effects as the chain link resolves and closes. That's kind of where Go Again happens too.
Yeah.
So one of the cheeky things you could do in Part the Mistveil draft was play Path Well Traveled on one of your opponent's attacks, in the link step or in a previous chain link. So Zach showcasing how good he is at this deck by navigating all of the steps perfectly.
And yet again, it's like poetry. Zach knows the deck so well and the cycles it performs on. He's got Tunic ready to swing Mirror Guy. He has a Chi to make a shield and swing with. That's just a 2-card No, that's a 1-card 10 right now.
Yep. Not too shabby.
And also, another nuanced thing here with Zach is that he's activating Pathway in advance for Reckless Swing, because he knows Evan plays exactly one copy. So this insulates and protects his Mirror Guy, because Ward 3 on the boots will come first.
Something that was super relevant that we saw in the Colin Erickson, Peter Budensic game. Unfortunately, Peter had to use his Meridian Pathway rather early, and many times had his entire turn stuffed by the fact that he just didn't have any more ward to protect from Steelblade Shunts.
Yep.
Zach goes ahead and flips his Uphold Tradition. All of his equipment is face up now. That Mirror Guy actually connected for 10 instead of 8.
Now Evan's going to get his opportunity to use his preferred feat on Brute with Beaten Trackers and a Savage Feast right here.
By Evan's own admission, Scab Skins is a bad card. You only want to get one extra action point per game, and this is going to be it. What's he going to do with it? He did go ahead and discard the Enlightened Strike, which is probably good given the fact that he doesn't ostensibly have a way to give it Go Again. The most ideal case scenario for Enlightened Strike is drawing a card with Go Again.
Here we go. Uphold Tradition is going to soak up that breakpoint.
It's a full block on Zachary Wallach's side. Wild Ride in the yellow is the follow-up from the Arsenal for Evan Bridges. So this will be 5 Go Again, we have to assume. That being said, Evan has not seen a single Blood Rush yet, either discarded or pitched.
No.
So
And
we are...
He doesn't hold one in hand, I don't think, either.
Oh, and look at this, Marcus.
Holder line is turned on when you've gone Savage Feast into Wild Ride.
So 1 card, 5 block, then following up with a 3 Go Again.
A
Mandible
run
Claw.
roughshod in.
You better hope so.
That's a I think it's. Yeah, there we go.
There's a run roughshod. New card from the KO Armory deck. Really, really shining whenever you can actually resolve it.
So, Evan just about punches through on the Mirror Guy. Zach will pass priority.
This is kind of the axis that you have to play on in these Enigma matchups. Like, you have to take a ridiculous amount of damage just to then clear the board, and then you have the tempo again.
Yep.
And you're kind of at the whim of whatever's on top of your deck. I do see a source of Go Again, however, Marcus. Oh, and I see our first Blood Rush. Has Evan found the blue to pair with it, though?
I see Weakest Link and E-Strike and a Swing Big.
He's really, even if he has a yellow, he could potentially make this worth it.
Yeah, I think he's going to pitch 2 reds into Weakest Link for
Alas, no. So hopefully he's just going to make Zach do some awkward blocking here or make some strange decisions. I don't think I see an instant in his hand, though, Marcus.
No, not all of these cards block 3.
Yep. So Zach is happy to take 4 here. Show Evan that he has nothing to hit on the Weakest Link.
Yeah, this is going to be great because then Zach retorts with CNC, knowing that Evan wanted to keep that arsenal because he pitched 2 reds in order to keep it.
Indeed. And Zach has to assume at this point that it's a Blood Rush.
And
Evan hasn't seen him.
Most importantly, 1 floating, Tunic up, representing Pummel.
Which Zach is sporting 3 of them in this deck. I don't know if they've come in against KO Armed and Dangerous, but they're in the deck list.
I think it would be too much of an ask. Yeah. It's a 2 block when you're not the aggressor. It's not the matchup you play.
But it's about the Schrodinger's pummel, isn't it, Marcus?
That's true.
That's the advantage of the open deck list. You get to show them the pummel even without pitching it or playing it.
That's why I put 1 in my breast pocket for coverage.
Oh, no. No, you. Oh, my gosh, you did.
And I brought Oldhams for my pin.
Oh, boy. You can take the Guardian out of the meta, but you can't take the Guardian out of Marcus. 6 Go Again. Dominate. Coming out of Evan Bridges.
When he had to pitch another Blood Rush. They really clumped up together in his deck.
He had a test matchup the other night where he showed us he had 1 Blood Rush in Arsenal and then 2 in hand, and he played them anyway. He luckily got them all resolved.
Oh my god.
Sent like a Bear Fangs for, I don't know, like 14 Go Again or something, and that was the last thing he did. Evan is many things, but greedy he also is.
Evan is all of these things, and he's also greedy and never punished and everything else.
That's why he's the villain.
So unfortunately, Dominate isn't really representing much because it's not going to take anything away from the board state that doesn't exist for Zach. It's just evasive damage for Evan here.
It does seem like Zach's hand, however, is a little bit clunky. We know he's got the weakest link in the arsenal, so at worst he's going to send a 2-card 6 with a nasty on-hit. But we do see a lot of chi cards, so making use of that extra blue might be a little tricky.
Although this is the only chain link that Evan gets to use.
Exactly.
Because he doesn't have any cards left. And we know that his last card in Arsenal is a Blood Rush.
So yeah, Zach is just going to go ahead and double Transcend. Probably activate Enigma and then swing Weakest Link on his turn. And I guess Arsenal that Essence of Ancestry Mind, which is not the greatest Arsenal target, but I don't know. What else do you do with that card?
Well, he's going to create at least one shield here to make a swing because it's a freebie. There's also the option that he could... Oh, wait, there's Restless Coalescence.
Oh.
Pardon me.
That's not bad, actually. I definitely thought that was an Essence of Ancestry Mind.
Make a shield to Enigma.
That's A-okay.
Hold priority on Meridian Pathway again.
Zach is too good of a player, too clean to let any of his habits die hard here. 2 go again. Evan says, send me the bill.
Also, Evan is out of armor, apart from that one block on Sash.
I am seeing a lot of Hermione over there, Marcus. And I'm sure with Blood Rush looming in the arsenal, we are going to see the 4th Hermione turn her head real soon, but not to block, to instead activate that Savage Sash.
The Council of Emma Watsons have judged you a villain, Evan Bridges.
It's Leviosa, Evan, not Leviosa.
Leviosa.
3 go again is the ask from Restless Coalescence on the board of Zachary Wallach. This is the semifinals of the Arcane Games and Events Open Series Players Championship.
Okay, Evan drops to the same life total, and here's that weakest link he'd seen previously.
Which, do we have any pearls, Marcus? We do. We have found Evan's Reckless Swing, and he decided not to deploy it because that Meridian Pathway is online for Zach.
I think all of his cards block, though. There's Assault and
they do.
Battery. It's just the fact that it's going to give Zach information that he probably doesn't want to give.
I know Evan, and I know Evan does not care about giving Zach information, especially when there's a Blood Rush in his arsenal. Normally, if I were in this position, Evan would snort in derision at me, say, take 6, and say,
No
I'm going to kill you
blocks.
now. Yeah.
I know the cadence and the way that he'll announce it. Just like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything about that.
Yeah, I know. I see it and hear it in my nightmares, Marcus.
Evan is not a good poker player, I guess.
He is thinking about blocking this, though. It's a 3 block.
I think there's a handful of blues, that's why.
Yeah.
It's that clumping that we'd seen previously.
Yeah, wow. So it is, it's definitely not going to be the Sash turn, I don't think, because Evan is very resource rich.
But he's going to have to pitch, what, his Reckless into Blood Rush?
Yes, absolutely, because otherwise he risks discarding it and not gaining go again off of
This
Blood
is
Rush.
arguably the most key turn of this game, is how much Evan can push and whether he'll pop Sash for it.
And it all depends on what's on top of his deck.
Yep. So hopefully with 3 blues that he held, make a catch up.
Yep. That's a spicy catch-up from Whataburger.
All right.
Evan brought 8 back from his visit to Texas recently, so he could give them as prizes to the opponents that beat him. And I'm sure let his opponents send them right to the trash. I don't know what they're supposed to do with the spicy ketchups, Marcus.
Take it home, put it on their fries. I
Yeah,
don't know.
frame it, laminate it. I don't know.
Arguably commit a cardinal sin in Evan's eyes and put it on their double-double.
That would be the ultimate insult, wouldn't it, Marcus?
It's not that good of a burger. It didn't come from Texas.
Is that your American accent?
No. That's just me messing around in the booth.
I kind of liked it.
I think
Okay.
I've worked on my Alex Vore impression more than I've done like an American
That
accent.
was a good Alex Vore, wasn't it?
I think Kana was the best in this format because...
Alex, I hope you're watching, and I hope you took that the way you should have taken it. I believe 2 damage leaked through. I was having too much fun making fun of Alex Vore. 6 go again off the claw. Blood Rush still active. 3 Hermiones.
I think he drew more... There's a swing big here.
That seems all right. What else have we got? Is that the third Blood Rush, Marcus? It totally is.
That's a yellow, but I don't know.
I think it is. I think he's considering going 2 cards deeper into the deck. He's wondering if he's going to have another opportunity if he arsenals it.
That is his last. Well, not the last Blood Rush, but the second one, because he had to pitch the other.
The problem is, if he goes for that Blood Rush, he's discarding one of the most high-valued cards he has in his deck in the form of Swing Big.
I'd arguably say it's just better to do the safe play and pocket the last Blood Rush anyway, because I think Zach sent 2 CNCs already.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only 1 left. Statistically,
He's closing
unlikely.
the chain.
Oh, he's doing it.
Spoken like a true Guardian player, talking about the safe play, but safe Evan Bridges is not greedy. He is. Let's go, Evan. Let's see what you find. Tapping his Mandible Claw to indicate that it's already swung this turn.
2 floating. What can we spend it on? Bare Fangs.
Bare Fangs ain't bad.
Oh my goodness. This one comes in for 5, boosted by Blood Rush to at least a 9, possibly to 11.
We know this can't miss because we've already seen all of the Blood Rushes at this point and also the Reckless Swing. So here we go. 2, 4 plus 7 is 11. Was it worth it for that second Blood Rush?
Hold the line in hand.
That's not bad, Marcus.
He also has a Chi.
And another Chi.
Grain,
Yeah, another Chi card. And then the last Manifestations of Mirror Guy, which might have to be donated to defense here.
It might be. Although 5 value in block from Hold the Line.
Yeah. He's also got Tunic online, so he could just go ahead and go Hold the Line, take 6, down to 3, send that Manifestations of Mirror Guy. What the heck? Might as well transcend, make a Spectral Shield.
He can actually transcend Grain in the Link step after Bare Fangs has already hit. But he also then enable Mirror Guy.
He doesn't even need to. He can wait till his turn, pitch the Inner Chi, resolve the Mirror Guy, and give the Mirror Guy +1. What the heck?
That's very true.
That's
very true. Zach will live by taking 6, going to 3.
Yeah.
That's the play.
Knowing the context of his hand, this is exactly the play I would make. This is all gas, no brakes right here. You're going to start making Evan make very difficult decisions. Evan really needs to hold on to 2 cards at the very least to resolve that Blood Rush that's in his arsenal.
It's also very funny that Zach is, by habit, keeping the priority on Pathway's ability to ward 3 on his own turn, despite the fact that Evan has only 1 Reckless Swing, and he already pitched it like 2 turns ago.
It's all about good habits in this game, isn't it, Marcus?
Yeah.
You play clean.
Better safe than sorry.
You represent your numbers, and it just makes you play better. When the rhythm of the game is in your bones and in your muscles, even though we're just sitting there playing cards for hours and hours on end, like that's one of the things that makes a good player, in my opinion.
And if we tot up the damage on this turn, what's great is that Grain is going to boost it, like you said, to a 9 just for this hit, and then Zach gets to make a shield and swing in for another 2.
So Evan is surviving at 1.
Holy moly.
Luckily enough, he was forced to donate a card to that chain.
You'll have to give a card hit. Oh my goodness.
No!
Oh, the no blocks bite him!
Evan Bridges finds 3 Pearl no blocks in his hand.
My goodness.
And is taken down by a 2-power Spectral Shield.
That's going to be the story you tell at Armory.
Oh, look at him, Marcus. He's just devastated. We're gonna have to get a Whataburger flown in from Texas just to dry the tears. Evan's praying to the Texan Whataburger gods to deliver him from this loss. But that means Zachary Wallach, teammate on the AGE Pro team, ascends to the finals. Which is yet to be decided, I don't think. It looks like Grant and Chris are kind of just having a talk with one another, so maybe that game has already resolved.
Maybe.
So we're moments away from finding out whether or not we're going to see an Enigma mirror in the final or Enigma v New.
Well, I saw Grant moving some cards around just now. Maybe it's just like things are taking place on Chris's turn.
Maybe. But for now, Zachary Wallach is the champion of this chapter of the AGE Players Championship story. Before we move on and possibly get him in for an interview, we do want to cut back to our handsome bearded faces for a moment, Marcus, and then very quickly avoid them once again. We want to talk about everything that you've just seen. If you've tuned in kind of halfway through the tournament, we want to remind everybody about how this all shook out and started in the first place. All of our players started in that happy green table on the left-hand side of your screen in the 0-0 bracket. Everybody, the magic number here is 3. If you got your 3 wins, you advanced directly to top 8. In our case, the 1 and 2 seed were Evan Bridges and Chris Ayali ascended from that top green table directly into top 8. Everybody else was fighting it out in the let's call it submarine bracket, not the losers bracket. And then the magic number being 3, anybody that achieved 3 losses was automatically shown the door, and their decks were confiscated and burned on site. Unfortunate for all of that value, but boy, was it fun for us to watch.
We burned the books on that. Yeah.
LSS told us to. So that's the way we organized our tournament today. Once again, it's very different than your average, X number of Swiss rounds and then a cut to top 8, because you don't have this open field problem that you have to address in deck building, right?
No, it's a known metagame that you're stepping into, but you still had to commit to a certain hero and stick by it, because once everybody had submitted deck lists, that's it. That's what you got to play.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a very quick break, and we're going to get Zachary Wallach, my teammate, and now finalist of the Arcane Games and Events Players Championship 2024. We'll have a couple words with Zach, which we promise we won't mince, because we'll get right into the finals here at AGE. You excited, Marcus?
I am, yes.
All right. Well, let's go to break for just a moment, and we'll be right back with AGE and more Flesh and Blood after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have very special treat for you. This is my teammate, Zachary Wallach, who just took down also teammate Evan Bridges, but also supervillain Evan Bridges, but also Mr. 040 Evan Bridges. How does it feel, Zachary Wallach?
It feels great. We talk a lot of trash on each other in terms of specifically the Enigma KO matchup, where the best they can say is maybe 50-50, if not free for KO. But it's also, on the Enigma player side, we think it's not even close. Like,
Yep.
I hope I showed a little of that when I beat him. But hey.
Is there a little bit of a coincidence that it seems like the majority of illusionist matchups are those like classic 90-90s or 60-60s? Or is it just the fact that, I don't know, I guess illusionist is kind of a hard deck to pilot, also has a little bit of crazy variance, like they do unfair things, but they also have unfair blocking hands on their side? What's your take on that?
I mean, Illusionist just is always going to be kind of polarizing as a class. It all comes down to the fact it's a board state focused class, whereas most heroes or decks just can't really do that. Maybe Mechanologist in terms of gain out items. You can have like a little bit in terms of playing like potions and Kano or something, but your like actual board state that you can retain value turn to turn just isn't quite there with any other class, except for, again, Mech, but it just turns into a rolling problem, especially in Enigma specifically, when you have your Wardors kind of stick around on board and it forces the opponent to like throw everything at the wall to try and clear it. And we saw that in our game too, against Evan, where the moment I got Moraga on board, it's suddenly like, all right, this is DEFCON 1. He must throw all equipment in front, slam every button he can, just try everything to clear it. He managed to get through the Moraga in the turn that he did all that, but it's a fact he expended basically everything to get there.
And not only that, you're gaining defensive value from that happening as well.
Yeah.
Like
it's a fact I get to swing for 10 and then block for another 5.
Yep, exactly. And you were also able to resolve a hold the line when it was a really critical moment to do it. That's what got that third Moraga on board for you towards the tail end of the game.
Yeah, when I drew that hold the line and saw the first Blood Rush, I'm like, all right, I'm comfortable here.
Yep.
And then he played the second Blood Rush, and I'm like, all right, this is even better, knowing that he pitched the third Blood Rush earlier, so I wasn't going to be afraid of whatever his follow-up is. I just eat his whole hand, and then Moraga, again, is a problem that he has to deal with, except without Blood Rush, without his armor. Aside from, he still had Savage Tasha, but it was just too little too late.
Absolutely. Well, this just in, we have a result from the Grant Strom Chris Iali game. And Zach, you're headed into another Enigma Mirror. You took your one loss in Swiss to this man. How do you feel going into another Chris Iali Enigma Mirror?
I hate the Enigma Mirror. I will shout it from the heavens. I hate the mirror. And I'm really not looking forward to playing it again, but if the best times I can play it are once in Swiss and in the finals, I mean, I guess I'll take the variance on that. I still walk away a little happy.
Indeed so. And perhaps this time the miss of Miss Vale will blow in your favor and maybe resolve a goalie or two or something like that. I've really been wanting to see that card on stream all day. But we'll see what comes. Zach, we do have to proceed on to our finals matchup, but I'm going to give you the floor for about like 5-7 seconds to diss Whataburger as many times as you would like, and Evan Bridges as you like. Take your time. I'll be here.
In-N-Out wins every time. Whataburger never wins, baby. It always shows in the results. Let's go.
That was animal style of you, Zach. We're going to take a very short break, and then we will be back with the finals of AGE, the Players' Championship here in 2024, setting the sun on Season 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, the sun is set. The moon has crested the horizon. The store is empty except for two of the best players in Southern California. We've got an epic match coming your way to decide once and for all who the best of the best is in the Arcane Games and Events Open Series circuit. That's right. It's the finals of the Players' Championship of 2024 coming at you very shortly. Before we get there, let's go ahead and take a look at that updated top 8 bracket. What do you see, Michael?
I see Chris Iali once again facing off against Zachary Wallach, the Enigma Mirror.
Which happened during Swiss. Chris was able to take it and give Zach his one loss in Swiss. I wonder if Zach has anything he can do to maybe turn the tide in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. We talked a little bit between these matches about what it's going to take for the Enigma to win, and it really comes down to that Mirage.
Indeed so.
Manifestations of Mirage, such a crucial piece in this matchup. So we'll have to look out to see when that gets played and what kind of tempo gets established around that kind of jostling for board control.
Resolve it and swing it, baby. That's the name of the game. Let's go ahead and take a look at what these players have a chance to win, or maybe lose if you take a look at it that way. Hit him, Michael.
Opportunity cost. Yeah, second place still walking away with $600. Of course, we just had our losers walk away. Not losers, of course, but not
losers.
Winners. $250 walking away. Still nothing to scoff at. I mean, that's a lot of Rosetta product to me. But the winner, $1,100, gold cold foil and a PTI.
That's a pretty hefty prize considering that we're heading up to a Tier 4 event in just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's right. The World Championships in Osaka looms large coming up at the beginning of November. So anybody, either Zach or Chris, if they haven't punched their ticket to Worlds, they're going to be able to if they take down this last final boss.
Yeah.
The stage is set. We are ready to take a look at these players. I believe I hear them chuckling over in the feature match area. So let's end all that. Let's dispense with the pleasantries. Let's get down to cold, rock, hard, flesh and blood action.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Here we go, Michael. There's a lot of blue on both sides of your screen, and that's because the Mistveil hero that could, Enigma, Ledger of Ancestry, has ascended. We had 5 copies of this list, of this deck, rather, at the top of the day, and we have whittled it down to the final 2.
Chris Iali representing the waxing crescent, while Zachary is representing the waning crescent. That's a joke on the mirrored moons.
Ah, the moons that wane and wax.
They sure do.
We've also got Living Legend points on the line because this is technically a ProQuest Plus event, which is also why we have that PTI and gold cold foil on the line. So these players are not only going for glory in the AGE circuit, they're also going for glory in that Living Legend leaderboard for Enigma.
Sounds great to me as we see Zachary and Chris rocking the same sleeves, those beautiful Enigma sleeves, and Zach's got the the Marvel Enigma hero. Gorgeous. The blue box just to match.
Indeed so. These players are going to have to be very careful not to mix up their cards because we've got very similar sleeves on both sides of the board. While they're shuffling up and getting ready, let's take a quick word for our sponsors once more. Collector Legion is a marvelous game store. Happens to be the one that we're sitting in right now, Michael.
Absolutely.
Where are we, Michael?
It's Collector Legion, baby. Redondo Beach, California.
A magnificent store, one that we love to call our home here at AGE, but also just a swell place to come down and play some cards.
Yeah.
Whatever your fancy is, Magic, One Piece, etc., Collector Legion is the place for it. And we're happy to support them as they have supported us all this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, come and get your singles here if you need some. They've got a great selection.
How about that fudge, Michael?
Ah, delicious. Stidger Family Fudge, our other sponsor. Thank you so much to that family for providing us with fudge and sponsorships. It's really awesome that this community can come together. Chris Stidger hooking us up.
Check them out at Stidger Family Fudge on Instagram. Chris is our friend and colleague from Odyssey Games and is just a swell guy in general. So any support for him is a support for a really, really swell guy. Let's go ahead and take a look at our player profiles. Let's start with Mr. Christopher Iali. Shall we play Spot the Difference, Michael?
Yeah, let me memorize this list first. Just gonna take a moment. I mean, the obvious one here, the one that we're looking out for, we spoke about it earlier, but that blue manifestation of Miragai, super, super important. Of course, they're both running that one. In terms of what's different, I think the biggest difference that I saw was that pummel, red pummel, not in Chris's list, but in Zach's list.
Chris is also sporting a 3 of Astral Etchings, which did not make the list for Zachary Wallach. You know what did, however, though, Michael?
What's that?
Mistcloak Gully. He is the only Enigma player I've seen at this high of a level playing the Fabled from Part the Mistveil. Going to be a really interesting inclusion if he decides to bring it in against Chris.
Yeah, looks like they're still deciding on their sideboard.
Shuffling up. Both of these players want to make sure they play to their highest potential. Once again, these rounds are untimed. We are encouraging them to play fairly quickly, which I don't think we'll have any issue with Chris Iali or Zachary Wallach. But
two very skilled players.
They are going to be crossing their T's and dotting their I's, as it were, and giving us the best possible match they can.
We managed to make it through with no draws today, as far as I know. Fantastic. There were some real nail biters, though. It came close.
Yeah. Well, hey, when you're rocking a 9 of Count Your Blessings Riptide, yeah, draws are a risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no weapon to close if you need it.
Mm-hmm. All players, including producer Justin, having a good laugh before shuffling up. I tried to tell them this is a serious match. We're not supposed to be having fun here. This is this should be cold-hearted, flesh and blood action.
The tears will come. Just
Good.
wait.
I can't wait. As I look around in the room behind me, I see the tears flowing from teammate Evan Bridges as he shoves several Whataburgers into his mouth.
Never seen him sob like that before.
Yeah. I think it adds an extra degree of flavor to those
the extra
Whataburger
salt.
buns.
Yeah. He's crying spicy ketchup as we speak.
Not a single tear was shed for Evan Bridges, but we love him just the same. Both players.
One more shuffle or 5.
Yeah. You can't be too careful, honestly. Sometimes it feels that way, especially in mirror matches, Michael, where, like in this case, we just have a really quintessential card that turns the whole game on its axis.
Yeah.
You just want to, I don't know, touch those cards a couple more times, see if you can get the mirror guy to the top, and hope and pray.
Got to infuse them with that perfect deck order. Shuffle it up just right.
But still, like, doing her dance routine.
Zach's talking about somebody shedding a lot of tears, it seems. Possibly also noticing Evan Bridges in the corner.
Made my worst habit of price splitting and then deciding to give in to temptation.
Zach's now talking about prize splitting?
Surely.
Not really sure. Not sure what's going on there, but we are presenting equipment. And you know what that means, Michael?
It's time to go.
It's time to crown a champion of the entire Season 2 of AGE.
I'm looking forward to it.
Are you stoked? Do you have a pick?
Oh, man.
Oh,
Like, who do I think or who do I want?
Who do you think?
I think it's Chris.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm on Team Zach.
Okay.
I think Zach is gonna take it.
I think he tried to build his deck thinking about these other enigmas. I mean, not that Chris didn't, but I mean, there's definitely some spice in there. Trying to break the ward with some pummels. He's got those big phantasmaclasms, another difference between the decks. So he's certainly packing a little bit more offensive punch.
Indeed so, Michael. Let's see if it's going to be enough to punch through the ward board of the #1 seed, Chris Iali. Not only #1 all throughout the day, has not taken a single loss, but also he was the #1 seed coming into this event after all of those AGE opens.
Cool, calm, and collected as he puts that Rage Spectre down without much rage in his eyes.
Oh, that is rage for Chris Iali.
That's rage?
I know it looks
Terrifying.
gentle, but yeah.
It's like when my mom gets mad at me. She's not mad, she's disappointed.
Chris is always disappointed in you.
Ugh.
Rage Spectre developed on the side of Chris Iali. Only going to be Ward 1 during
There it
Zach's
is.
turn.
Phantasmaclasm.
That's a good start. And Chris does indeed have a popper, but he's had to show it to Zach. Zach automatically points at it. That one indicating that that one's going to go to the bottom.
Clear choice. Chris hoping to see another one right here.
Don't draw it, Chris. Come on, give me a chance.
Zach's begging for Chris not to draw it. Chris gives a disappointed look to the top card of his deck.
Yeah, not mad, just disappointed.
You would have to think that if it was a popper, he would have snap blocked with it almost immediately. But he has a think. Staring down a fearsome 9 is Chris Ayali in the finals of the AGE Players Championship. It's all come down to this, folks.
Past reactions. Ooh, and there's a pummel.
My goodness. This is a devastating opening barrage from Zachary Wallach.
It's exactly what you want. Stripping those cards. 12 damage on the table.
That is 13, Michael.
Oh, excuse me. A little one hidden there.
Yeah. Our dice only go up to 12, unfortunately.
Chris getting rid of his own Miraging Metamorph.
Taking all of that damage.
Wow, what a start.
And just like that.
We're throwing haymakers.
Like an extinguished wick of a candle, away goes a quarter of Chris Ayali's life. We're going to go ahead and reestablish another Rage Spectre.
Didn't work the first time, maybe the second time it'll work out.
But hey, here comes another Miraging Metamorph. So that means Chris drew his second copy of Miraging Metamorph off of that Phantasmaclasm, which unfortunately cannot block and pop a Phantasm attack because it is Illusionist. Phantasm has to be a non-Illusionist attack with 6 or more. Chris doing a little bit more ward board development. Got a Spectral Shield with a +1 counter on the back end of that turn.
Zach just popping out 2 of these Chi cards real quick. Getting ready for his turn. Doing this on the end of Chris's turn.
So both players have transcended, which means that their Traverse the Universe is online.
Activate Mirage.
Oh my goodness, Zach is drawing hot.
Yeah, you can see that in the smile of Chris. He's not happy about that.
Something tells me this is going a little bit differently than when they met in Swiss.
Yeah.
My goodness,
I have that
natural
feeling.
Phantasmaclasm pummel into natural Manifestations of Miragai pitched with a Chi.
Yeah, Chris is going to have his work cut out for him.
So, sometimes you got it, Michael. Not to mention that there's an Uphold Tradition face down in Zachary's arm slot.
See if he goes and uses it here.
And for 8, go again.
8 go again is the ask. We have to assume it's going to go up to 10 go again, but we'll see. Chris looking disappointedly at the board state. Rage Spectre is such a good offensive aura, Michael, but when you are forced to use it on defense, you're using 2 cards to ward 1.
Ward
it's so
1 is
miserable.
not what you want in a spot where you're coming in for 8. And you also don't really want to block with 3 cards here either.
That's the thing about these Manifestations of Miragai. So much damage is presented after you've already taken 13, and you need to take every point of it that's coming your way just to have a hope of removing that Manifestations of Miragai.
What will I ever do with it, Chris? I can't arsenal it.
You know Zach is feeling good right here.
Yeah, he is. He's ready to pop that Enigma hero power.
Looking at the hand of Chris, we've got a Chi card. I believe it was Stir the Pot, Levels of Enlightenment, Command and Conquer, and then a Waning Vengeance, which could be used on the defense here, but the question remains, what do you do with the rest of those resources then?
Tough spot.
Very tough spot indeed for my team captain.
Chris deep in the tank, trying to find a way out of this.
Oh no. Devoting Traverse the Universe to the block here. Not a situation he wants to be in because he's not holding on to a Manifestations of Miragai. That's really the moment that you want to block with Traverse the Universe so you can resolve your own big ward attacky boy.
Why do you think he went for this now without a Manifestations in hand?
It's a really good question, honestly, Michael. I wish I could say I knew.
And I buddy for 2.
You heard him. Zach says buddy coming in for 2. And that is a Spectral Shield with a +1 counter on it.
Zach deciding to hold back on the Uphold tradition. Arm piece.
Which is interesting because he's still floating 1, so he had the opportunity to use it. Maybe the fact that Chris blocked with Traverse the Universe scared him out of it. Because maybe he's thinking Chris is holding on to a Manifestations of Mirror.
Yeah, could be that he's saving it for the next one. Just, you know, when he needs that tempo, when he needs the extra counter. Right now he's so far ahead, he might as well just hold back on his resources and still has it, you know.
This is probably why Chris goes ahead, and this is why he blocked with Traverse the Universe, so that he can get 2 modes active on this Levels of Enlightenment.
Short of blue.
And also that allows him to transcend that Stir the Pot in his hand and still use it for resources.
Yeah, still very disappointing use of that headpiece compared to what it could have been used for down the line.
Traverse the Universe is one of the most powerful pieces of equipment in the game, but that's because of the unfair things that it facilitates,
And I
like
think Chris,
Manifestations of Mirror.
yeah, just understands that his only path to victory here is he has to take care of this Miragai right here and right now. He can't afford to sit and dawdle around and wait for his own to come.
We've talked about the implications of a Manifestation of Mirror swinging twice in a game and how much that swings the game in the Enigma's favor. Of course, the one that's swinging the Manifestation of Mirror.
Yeah.
Chris seeing the writing on the wall and knowing that he's got to put pressure on that aura. Otherwise, he's just not going to get there.
Ward 5.
And Zach just gives it up, keeps his 4-card hand, gets as much value as he wants out of it. Happy to put that in the graveyard.
Pressure, he did.
Lock.
Chris then comes in for 2 go again on this Spectral Shield. For free, of course. We resolved this Waning Vengeance. At this point, oh, I see. He hadn't indicated his resources quite yet. So that Command and Conquer is destined for the Arsenal.
Yep.
And Chris, honestly, it's not the worst he could have done in that situation.
Yeah, Waning Vengeance still out. Zachary.
Zachary being a good-mannered player, making sure his team captain doesn't discard his Waning Vengeance willy-nilly. Responding with his own Levels of Enlightenment. A play that very much mirrors Chris's on the last turn.
And all 3 modes.
Zach is choosing all 3 modes. Why?
There's only 2 cards pitched.
It's possible that the chi card he transcended with was Path Well Traveled, and so he's just shorthanding into all 3 modes.
Oh, I see.
I didn't quite see the card that he had flipped.
Right. That's a good point.
So when he's saying all 3 modes active,
Right,
he's
not
really
literally.
saying, I choose draw a card and buff power, and Path Well Traveled gave it go again.
Yeah.
The upshot of it all is 5 go again, and Chris has finally found himself a Manifestations of Mirror
Yeah.
Is that a chi card on the left side of his hand, Michael?
I'm not as familiar with the top left corners of chi cards as some other cards.
Zach makes it easy because he's got all Marvel
Yeah,
chi.
it's
But
yellow.
Chris is a budget gamer like me.
Could that? No, it's not a Levels of Enlightenment.
There's a Restless Coalescence in the middle.
It could be. I know that there's some yellow heavy cards like the
For Waning Trigger.
Path Well Traveled, I think, is one of them.
Shield 2 go again.
2 go again is the follow-up with Zach's buddy, as he likes to call him. And then we're sitting on an Enigma Chimera,
Ooh,
I believe in the blue.
that's gonna hurt.
Oh no, that's a red, Michael.
That's gonna hurt.
That's a big attack.
Tunic. Plasm.
But he chooses the bigger boy in
Yeah.
Phantasmaclasm. So not only is he going to come in for another 9, but he has the opportunity to
Stripping that
completely
Miragai.
brick Chris's hand.
Yeah, it was a passover, so he was probably he couldn't swing with it.
9 Phantasma.
So hopefully Chris is going to draw himself into another popper.
Yeah, he needs a little bit of an out here. He is just getting pummeled, literally and figuratively.
Indeed so. One of those really useful poppers is sitting in his arsenal, unable to be devoted to the block.
He takes it.
Chris says, I have to take 9 here.
Move to end.
His hand just didn't block almost at all. I mean, we
Yeah.
had the instant, we had the Restless Coalescence. Sorry, the instant meaning the Transcend card.
Right. The Passover.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he drew another Miragai.
How about that?
Okay. Hey. Just establishing it the old-fashioned way. No chi being pitched to this. Unable to play the chi and transcend it in the same turn.
Sometimes Phantasmaclasm works in mysterious ways. In Zach's match against Colin Erickson earlier, in which he was victorious, he did Phantasmaclasm Colin, made him bottom like a yellow or a blue or something, and Colin drew immediately into a popper. So
Yeah.
it can be a risk. Here comes Miragai for a measly 4. Still significant. Obviously not the 8 go again that Zachary was threatening. And Zach has found another Manifestations of Miragai. That's his 3rd one.
Yeah, I wonder if he goes for the Traverse here.
Yeah.
Just close the game right here, right now.
That is the massive advantage of resolving a natural Manifestations of Miragai. Natural meaning I didn't have to use my Traverse to get there. You basically imply that the next time this happens, if I didn't get far enough ahead now, watch me do it a second time.
Yeah.
Ward 1.
Blocking 4 here with the Spectral Shield and the Weakest Link. 1 gets through. Zach's down to a very healthy 28.
One over.
Moving 1 +1 counter over from the Manifestation of Miragai to the Restless Coalescence. We get a 3 go again here, and we know what the follow-up is. That follow-up is a CNC from Chris's Arsenal with the Tunic counter. Zach says, uh-oh. He's got the Enigma Chimera in the Arsenal. He still has the opportunity to just go ahead and block with Traverse the Universe.
Yeah, that
Get
could
his
be
inner
the
chi
play.
and send Manifestations of Miragai. And he would have the 1 floating to make it lethal because he's still sitting on that Uphold Tradition.
Yeah.
No block.
Yep, no block is the call. Electing not to go for the Traverse the Universe.
And lose Enigma Chimera.
Which is interesting. So now I really wonder what Zach is going to do with this turn.
Yeah. Curious.
Turn, tick Tunic, play
Just-
Restless, pass.
Save up for later. If Chris sends another CNC, that'll be really nice for him.
We've got a Weakest Link in the hand. So we could make Zach make some tricky decisions with the instants in his hand.
Yep. There's
Looks
one.
like he's finding them already. But man, we found another Phantasmaclasm, and that is just a back-breaking attack. That all being said, Chris still very much on the back foot in terms of life total, but he's found some tempo, Michael.
Yeah. Swinging in with those auras, he has a bit of a board. One of the weakest Miragais I've ever seen with 1 counter on it.
But hey,
No block.
still a draggy boy.
Ward 2, take 1, down to 21.
We're having questions from chat asking about the cloaked legs of Zachary Wallach. Taking a look at his list. He doesn't have any.
Is it Silent
No, Silent Stilettos is not a cloaked piece. That's the one from Uprising.
Aqualap? I think it's
Yeah, it's
yeah, it's
Aqualapse.
Aqualapse.
Aqualapse to give go again.
yeah. And then of course on the other side of the table, it's your good old-fashioned Meridian Pathway.
It is a curious choice from Zach, but I'm wondering if it's just if he finds himself with the tempo and a lot of those really gruesome big attacks like Phantasmaclasm, CNC, Weakest Link, what have you, and 2 blues, maybe he just wants to be able to ensure that he can give one of those go again and just present even more nastiness. It's all about what you can do when you have the tempo in these matchups where you typically want to be blocking with a card here and then sending a card there.
Yep.
So Zach may be identifying a real edge in this matchup with those Aqualapse.
Zach choosing just to take it.
He's going to have to reveal his hand to Chris Iali, which is not nothing.
Play Miragai.
Moraga.
In resolution step, we're going to go ahead and use
Play Oma.
all of these instants.
Life Transcend.
So Zach has taken the damage, and then when the weakest link trigger goes on the stack, the on-hit trigger that is, Zach's going to go ahead and respond to it. Pitch the chi in his hand, resolve the mirror guy from his arsenal, transcend with the other instant in his hand, and then pitch that chi to Enigma.
Yep, and everything else blocks, so Chris not having any relevant on hits from that now.
And now Zach is going to come out swinging, Michael.
He sure is. 3 cards in hand and another 4 counter manifestations of Moraga and a Spectral Shield with a counter. So with 10 health, Chris is looking at lethal being presented on the board.
So at this point, it'll be interesting to see how Zach follows up, because I think he could just pitch that Enigma Chimera to send Phantasmaclasm. I think is that Enigma Chimera blue, Michael?
Didn't see the color of it.
It's either blue or red.
Either would be devastating since this Spectral Shield comes in for free. The first Spectral Shield activation, according to Cosmic Awakening. I'm sorry, Scroll of something. Cosmo.
Cosmo,
Scroll of Ancestral Tapestry. Straight from the brain. Didn't read that one off a piece of paper.
No, indeed. I can't even read.
Neither can I. When you say that.
8 go again is still the active ask from Zachary Wallach.
So true.
Chris is sitting on a little bit of ward. He's got 4, 5, 6 in terms of the ward board. 7 if you count that Restless Coalescence +1 counter.
There it is, the use of that uphold tradition. Just pushing it.
So I would have to imagine now that that Enigma Chimera is a blue. Here's the tech, the blue sink below. The one that was teased by Rhea Adams before Minneapolis Nationals. Just an easy transcend enabler. Sure, it only blocks for 2, but when you can flip those transcend cards, I guess the trade-off is worth it.
Yep. Currently blocking 2 of 10. 7 word on board. So would still take 1 after all is said and done if Chris chooses not to do anything from this point.
But even if you're only taking 1 damage, you still are facing down a Manifestation of Mirror guy with 5 counters on it.
Yeah, you really need that board to punch back, and that isn't going anywhere as Chris sinks away the chi, I believe.
That's interesting, because he did have a defensive out in Meridian Pathway. He does, however, know the entire context of Zach's hand at this point, thanks to the weakest link that connected last turn. So Chris has to know what's coming.
Oh, was not the chi, excuse me.
I think that makes sense, because he really wants to activate Meridian Pathway and get as much defensive value out of his equipment suite as possible at this point. So an additional 4 value in terms of the block generated by that inner chi being pitched. We've activated Coalescence, created another Spectral Shield.
Yeah. 3, 6, 8, 10. And then you remake 1 off. Dole.
Figuring out the ward here. Chris covers it up with the Meridian Pathway. Waning Vengeance and Restless Coalescence generates a Spectral Shield on the back end thanks to having pitched a blue card at the time that Waning Vengeance leaves the battlefield.
Silver lining for Chris at the moment is that he has a board still. I have to wait and see how Zachary decides to end this turn, though. This Spectral Shield coming in for 2 does have go again.
Yeah, I'm trying really hard to see what color that Enigma Chimera
He's
is.
trying really hard not to show it to you.
He really is.
Just dodging you left and right. It's red.
Enigma Chimera, 8 Phantasm.
Not a bad follow-up.
No. 20 damage turn, I've heard that's good.
Chris, once again, up a river and without a popper.
Yeah.
8 feels a little backbreaking at this point, especially when you only have 2 ward on board. 1 from the Spectral Shield, 1 from the sad puppy Manifestation of Mirror guy with 1 counter.
And he just takes it.
Down to 4.
I can't imagine that 2 cards is going to be enough to threaten this big, nasty manifestation, but hopefully Chris has something up his sleeve. Hopefully it's not
Incorrect.
just a calming gesture.
Practical one.
And it's just 1 without go again.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Let's go up to 4.
It's possible he's got an Astral Etchings in his hand, but even then, we're just cheating out an extra 3 damage. And at 16 life, Zach is not threatened by 3, that's for sure.
Could possibly get the Miragai off the board, which would be important.
But Zach is also sitting on a hold the line, and also, I believe that's a Sacred Art Immortal Lunar Shrine.
Unlikely to get through then, even if it is a reaction.
Not only unlikely to get through, but also very likely to pump up that board for another swing on Zachary's side of the board.
Ew.
Yikes.
Zach
Man,
just figuring out how he wants to do this.
Zach mentioned to us beforehand how much he loathes the Enigma Mirror because he doesn't feel like it's particularly skill intensive, and maybe he's showing us why. Just because the amount of stock that is put in what you draw and win is pretty massive.
Seems like it.
In Astral Etchings, it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris saying, what whoa?
Yep. And he's got that cheat in hand to fuel the turn.
Move to my turn.
So yeah, this
19 damage showing once again.
this
4
one
health.
this one blue is gonna present 19.
Zach coming in for 2.
Yikes. I do not want to be on Chris's side of this game, that's for sure.
And Chris concedes.
Chris no longer
Sees
wants
the
to be
writing
there
on
either.
the wall.
Well, folks,
But Chris, guess what?
What?
Your prediction was correct. you called it.
Zach is alluding to Chris's player profile where he he predicted that Zachary Wallach would win in his stead. And
Well, you
here
know
we
what
go.
you get for that? You get $600 for getting that prediction right.
You know, that ain't bad. That's not a bad consolation prize. And that means Zachary Wallach is punching his ticket to Osaka and beyond. Also a gold cold foil to boot and a lot of glory.
Yeah. Congratulations, Zachary Wallach, our AGE Players Championship first place winner. We've got his gold cold foil sitting here right in front of us, and there's his juicy check for 1,100 sitting on the table in front of you.
Running it down mid with Enigma all year long and showing his chops with that deck. I mean, if there's anybody, I don't think that anybody had the number of hours that Zach does on this list. So persistence and hard work seem to pay off in the end.
Yeah, probably more hours than I put in at my day job.
Yeah, I would have to imagine so. And he's also a pharmacist on the side. He's going through pharmacy school, which I know is a very grueling.
So what you're saying is he's got a
education.
hyperbolic time chamber.
Yeah, something like that, and also a photographic memory, and I would have to
helps.
imagine a lot of B12 shots.
Yeah, exactly. Get those vitamin deficiencies taken care of before you take to the stage and win a championship.
Indeed so. Well,
Wow.
what an explosive Enigma Mirror that was
Yeah.
to close out the year here at AGE. That was Season 2, wrapping up before your very eyes. The moon is high in the sky at this point. Probably a full moon, I don't know. I've been in here casting games all day.
Is it even dark out? Probably.
Yeah, probably. We wouldn't know in here,
Nope.
but it has been bright here at Collector Legion because
Said.
we've gotten to see a lot of really good gameplay and also
This is great.
the culmination, the zenith of a wonderful year at
Yeah.
AGE.
Thank you all for joining us for this awesome tournament. And we're going to do an interview here in just a moment as the players get settled.
We'll also see if Zachary Wallach will reveal this gold cold foil before your very eyes.
That's a great question to ask. We'll see if we can get him to do that.
Nudge him in the right direction, shall we,
It
chat?
is the right thing to do, after all.
Alrighty, folks. Very short break, and then we will be back with your AGE Players Champion, Zachary Wallach. We'll be back after this. I'm sitting here with somebody that is no stranger to this booth. You just saw him after semifinals, but now he's got a bit of a different glow to him. This is Zachary Wallach, not AGE Pro Team player, well, all those things, of course, but also AGE Players Champion of Season 2. Zach, how the heck does it feel?
It does feel pretty great. I am almost at a loss for words in a sense, knowing all of the build-up to the season, all of the payoffs that happen. Obviously, Honda Pilot, 100% undefeated in Players' Championships.
Hold on, let's talk about Honda Pilot. What is Honda Pilot?
Honda Pilot's our carpool that we take to events with generally me, Anthony Phams, our driver. He owns a Honda Pilot.
Anthony Pham, ex-Players Champion Anthony Pham, no less. So case in point, Players Champions all come from Team Honda Pilot, I guess.
We call it the Honda Pilot buff for anyone who decides to come in the carpool, and the buff is real.
Absolutely. Showcasing it here before your very eyes. Zach, you talked to us a little bit about how polarizing the Enigma Mirror is before we went into that match. You showed us a little bit about what you were talking about, but I also have to point to the fact that you made some very specific deck building choices that really paid dividends for you. Let's talk about that first turn of the game where you come in with Natural, Phantasmaclasm, Pummel. Those are two cards that were not in Chris Ialdi's list.
Chris wasn't on Pummel?
Chris was not on Pummel. Here you go.
I mean, not on Phantasmaclasm? I actually did not realize that.
No Phantasmaclasm, no Pummel. He did have the Miraging Metamorphs and those Astral Etchings, but no, sir. No Phantasmaclasm.
Yeah, I mean, for Phantasmaclasm, I feel like it's a pretty standard inclusion.
Surprisingly missing from a lot of the Enigma list today, honestly.
Yeah, I think it definitely comes up the most in the mirror, where especially that finals game kind of showed what can happen with when one person has it and the other doesn't, where especially there was, I think, a moment in the mid-game where Chris was trying to hold a full hand to try and do a Miragai play, and then I Phantasmaclasmed him and bottomed the Miragai. He drew another one anyways, but it's the fact that Phantasmaclasm just punishes those plays. It allows you to get over the top when they want to try and block a lot and develop their board. Pummel does a similar thing, in my opinion, for the mirror especially, where you're already presenting these big attacks that are generally tough to block out without giving up your board in some way. And then Pummel just comes on top, rips a card from hand, destroys the board. It just does a little bit of everything when you get it going.
Yeah.
And it lines up the best when it's turn 1, no block, eat 12, discard a card.
Zach, I'm just sitting here shaking my head in the booth because this is what you do to me every single round 3 that I pair into you. But it doesn't matter which illusionist you're on. It's like, okay, it's Dromai, Tomotai turn 2. Okay, it's Prism, I don't know, ALS loop, like by turn 4. Rip my 1 popper out of my hand. Like, this is just par for the course, Zachary Wallach play. Teammate Anthony showing us the Honda Pilot buff.
So
I'm sure he's making race car noises while he's doing it as well. Well, Zach, you really, really took it down today, and we're super proud of you. Can I ask a favor?
Go for it.
Will you open before our very eyes this illustrious ProQuest Plus gold foil?
I would love to do the honors.
Let's go, Zach.
All right.
Rip that cellophane. I see everybody gathering to take a look at what we're going to open here. All right, Zach. Steady hands, steady hands. They're all chanting Coat of Frost outside.
It's face down like
Okay,
this.
it's face down.
So.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, yo!
Ironhide Gauntlet is the gold foil for
Oldie but a
Zachary Wallach.
goodie.
Absolutely. How does that feel?
That's nice.
Did you have you played a deck that includes Ironhide Gauntlet?
No.
Maybe in the days of Iceland or old. Let's get a good look at that thing, man. Let it reflect the light. Let's see some gold. There's the gold. My good. Oh yeah, the foiling is kind of only on the gauntlets there.
Yeah, it's a very nice, like, classic cold foiling around it.
The old ones are very pretty. Zach, in addition to this gold cold foil, you are taking home 1,100 smackers and also an illustrious Pro Tour invite. Are you going to cash it in immediately for Osaka?
Unfortunately, can't.
No!
I wanted to go to Japan so bad.
No,
I just
Zach.
can't make it work with my school schedule.
That's devastating.
I would, like, if I had the time to take a week off school, I would be there in a
Yeah.
heartbeat.
Yeah. We will miss you very much, but you can save that PTI for another day. Maybe Pro Tour Europe
We'll see.
is down the line. But what the heck? You'll probably just win a Pro Quest this weekend anyway. That's what I'm talking about, man. Is Enigma going anywhere for you? Are you interested in any other heroes?
I want to play Acilio so bad. I was so close to having the deck ready today. Literally, it was like 1 or 2 cards where the tracking updated at the last minute for Monday. I'm like, I mean, I guess I'll play Enigma. I know without almost a shadow of a doubt if I played Acilio would have been 0-3 Chipotle Line Q, but Acilio's so fun.
Acilio is so fun, man. I think I might be hitting up Adam to buy some Acilio cards right after this, just because I missed lightning today, man. I wanted some crackling lightning bolts, and we just didn't quite get it. But based on the way things shook out, I'm really happy that those cards didn't get there for you. Otherwise, I think you're right. We would have been telling a very different story right now. Well, Zach, I think that's going to do it for us here at Arcane Games and Events. Congratulations once again on a massive victory. I am so proud to call you my players champion here at Season 2. And after this, we're going to do a very short break. We're going to have a last message from producer Justin. I've finally convinced him to get in front of the camera and say thank you all for a wonderful year here at AGE. We can't wait for next year. Stay tuned. Hey, folks, as promised, we've got one last word from our founder and producer, Justin Leewog, closing out the season here at AGE. Justin,
Finally got me in the booth.
Yeah, we finally got you in the booth, and you didn't even have to O2 for it, like me. Well, Justin, the sun is set on another year here at AGE. This is our second season, which I guess, like in TV terms, if you get that second season, surely you're going for another 3.
We're in syndication.
Yeah. We're in. I don't know if we're quite there, but we're on our way. We know what we have. All of our actors are renegotiating their contracts and really excited about what's to come.
I thought it was a little crazy you asked for a trailer, but
but you got it for me, and it's just a toilet stall. But hey, I'm still happy for it.
yeah, AG entry next year is $200 per open.
I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about what is new for AGE, what is coming down the pipe, can you give us a teaser?
Yeah, so we want to take AG to more places, and that's something that we've been looking into because we've had a lot of requests from a lot of different people, and to bring this type of community to other places, I think is something that I'm really hopeful for and pushing forwards because just seeing what happened with AGE throughout the years with SoCal, it's really kind of like galvanized our community and really made players play more, love the game, and meet new people. And that's something that I take away at the end of every open when we're, cleaning up and everyone's gone. It's you just see people shaking hands, high-fiving, going to dinner after, and then these people, maybe didn't even know each other when they first started playing on the Open Series. And bringing in new players and veterans alike and having them compete. And it's just something that's been rewarding for me and the reason why AG exists for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to hold up one of our trophy competitors, Colin Erickson, earlier today, who came into the game right at the beginning of Heavy Hitters, tail end of Bright Lights, and has made a name for himself, joined the AGE Pro Team. I'm also a success story of AGE. This game captured my heart pretty much immediately once I started playing it, and then and your dream of bringing AGE into the fore and capturing a lot of other players' hearts and minds for the Fab community. It's an infectious dream, and I am so glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, and it really epitomizes what Flesh and Blood is, which is playing in the Flesh and Blood, and meeting all kinds of new people, playing against different types of players. And I've heard a lot of reasons why people play in AG, whether it's to just, I just want to win every tournament, be super competitive. I've talked to a lot of new players where they use it as an excuse to practice and get better and love the game and connect with it in a different way where they never really had that outlet.
I imagine your relationship to this game, which is so centered around its competitive scene, changes so much when you have to wait for a Battle Hardened to come to your town. Having an open circuit every single year, every single month, changes the dynamic.
Yeah, and it gives you a reason to play, to care, and to show up the next month, because not only are you excited to play for the points and excited to win a tournament, you're just excited to see the same people over and over again. And I think that's one of the coolest parts is, seeing the same people carpooling together. We have Team Honda Pilot, who is notorious for winning, and I don't think it's an accident that they travel together all the time. They are good friends, and they practice. They talk about the game all the time, and it shows when they come and play. And, I'm sure that when players look back at the experience they had over the year, that, hopefully it was a positive one and one that they're going to take away from, whether you won or lost today or didn't qualify or qualified. They all take something away that's really positive from the game.
Well, that excites me even more to come back next year. That being said, we've got a little bit of a break ahead of us, Justin. Are we feeling a little relieved?
Yeah, it's bittersweet. We have every time we put on a tournament, it's early mornings, late nights, long weeks, preparing for it, getting all the graphics ready, talking to all the players.
And perhaps most importantly, it cuts hugely into your Flesh and Blood time and mine.
Yeah, because I'm way better than all of them, but I just get choose not to play.
He's constantly pointing at the screen, going, "I can do that, but I don't want to."
So maybe one of these days I'll suit up and play an AG Open and win my own money back.
I think that would be really poetic, honestly.
Yeah.
Or you can O2 booth like me.
Yeah.
I know I make it sound really tempting, but it has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed being in the booth this year, and getting to watch the best of the best do what they do.
Yeah, and as we evolve AGE and hopefully bring it to more places, that people can get a slice of what it's like to be in SoCal, and then build your own community up for what is a monthly circuit, but I think is much more than that, than what shows up on the screen or what players talk about after. Whether you see tweets or deck texts or anything like that, there's something that's really special about when you walk into the opens, I think, where you get the vibe of it's very, very, very competitive, but the people play above board and it's just super nice, and it just feels friendly, and you take away a lot from it, whether you win or lose, or whether you O2 drop Chipotle or become the Players' Championship. There's such a wide gap, and there goes Team Honda Pilot, and they're taking off.
Good luck in their next endeavor.
Yeah.
You mentioned this earlier, and it is such a microcosm of the overarching Flesh and Blood community. I mean, I started this game because it intrigued me. It was an answer to Magic, essentially, and fixed a lot of problems with that game for me. But the reason I stayed is the community. The reason I stayed is because of the AGE circuit, for all the people at Odyssey Games. And you just cannot beat this community, man.
Yeah.
Twitter be damned. Whatever goes on there is not what the Flesh and Blood community is about. I'll say it first and foremost here. What this community is about is what happens here at AGE, and I am, for one, completely enamored of it.
Yeah, like when AGE started, it was to fix a problem that I thought was within SoCal, which was we just didn't get enough events. You know, we have a lot of really great players who travel and do really well at tournaments, but I wanted to bring something where we had something to do, whether it's outside of a battle heart and a pro quest that show up every once in a while. And I think it succeeded beyond that, and it doesn't also happen without all the other people you don't see behind the scenes. We have producer Christine, we have all the judges, we have all the casters, and all the players who put in the work. Because even the Players' Championship, they submitted player profiles, they submitted their deck list, and they worked with us. And we had to schedule all the players, figure out the pricing, and kind of build this whole thing up. And that doesn't happen if it's not for a lot of people who are really passionate about the game and do it because they love it.
And love it we do, Justin. So thank you for creating the fertile ground for us to plant our seeds and play some Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
That's an Earth joke, in case you guys missed that.
That's why we pay him the big bucks.
Speaking of Earth jokes, Justin, can you be a Bob Ross for me and paint some happy little trees on the portrait that is the closing of AGE Season 2? Thank the people. Say everything you want to say to those that worked so hard and watched so hard with their eyeballs throughout the year.
Yeah, there's not enough thank yous really to thank all the people who show up for each of the events, the people who watch at home, the people who post about us on Twitter and promote the events, the people who bring in new players to come and learn the game. We saw a lot of that this year. One of the traditions that you don't see on camera is every time we do a players meeting, I ask who's open is it the first time they've attended it. And
hands always go up.
Hands always go up, and we all cheer and we welcome into the community, and then they play Chris Alley in the first round.
Like a cult, but a little less creepy.
Yeah. We don't count how to pilot, but so yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in this year, and it really does mean a lot to me and everyone behind the scenes, and it really doesn't happen without the viewers and the players and all the people behind the scenes. So yeah, there's not enough thank yous and not enough time for a broadcast for me to appreciate everyone who makes this stuff happen, because it's why I try to really stay behind the scenes and promote all the players. And I think of us as player first is one of the mottos and one of the mission statements that we have for HE, which is what best serves the player. And then everything else kind of falls in line with that, where, I'm hoping that when players leave our tournaments, they sense that. And that they can feel that all of us are players and we understand the problems and what makes a tournament great and what makes a community and game great. So that's pretty much all for me.
So on to next year then, Justin, for another great one, another year of honing and improving our product here at Arcane Games and Events. For the dozens of you that are still there viewing this stream and this gushing of heartfelt emotion from Justin and I, thank you for sticking it out with us, and we hope to see you next year for AGE Season 3.
Thank you,
More
guys.
coming down the pipe.